Truly would like to thank Mr. Seeley for this outstanding opportunity to serve not only the people of the Bowling Green District of Caroline County. And when you're on this side, no matter what it may be, it's really an eye-opening and it's quite a learning experience. I would like the Board of Supervisors to know how much I appreciate you and what you have to do. And it's not easy. I always kidded the Planning Commission members, we were kind of the minor leagues. We pretty much tried to be the technical end. We would read things, we would look at it, and really decide if we thought it was good for the county, then we were for it. If we had issues with it, we tried to get those corrected. And I really felt like we had a wonderful, wonderful relationship. And I think pretty close. Well, we were pretty right on the lot. You know, y'all went a different way, and it was probably the best thing for the county that you decided. And I just want to commend you. I appreciate the service and dedication it takes from you guys. I truly mean it. And it was an honor for me. And please come to the Planning Commission meetings. You will learn a lot there, I will tell you that. And again, thank you, Mr. Seeley, and it's been a real pleasure.
Thank you. I was at the Fire and Rescue dinner and awards dinner last month and saw a lot of outstanding folks and a lot of people who put in a lot of time that a lot of us don't always recognize, see, or realize how much time they put in. But we have with us tonight an individual who has spent more time than anybody else in the county to date in the volunteer fire and rescue business. So this evening it's with great pleasure that I read a resolution. A resolution of appreciation for the volunteer district chief, Steve Parrish, for 60 years of service to the citizens of Caroline County. Exactly. Whereas volunteer district fire chief, Steve Parrish, has devoted his time and talents to the fire and EMS service for more than 60 years. He began his volunteer career in Caroline in 1960 in both Ladysmith and Bowling Green rescue squads. Whereas the volunteer district fire chief, Steve Parrish, is a longtime member of the Caroline County Fire and Rescue Service as a leader in the founding of the Upper Caroline Fire Department in 1973 and has since served as its only district chief since that time, while twice guiding the acquisition of land and construction of 2 fire stations, as well as the development and training of staff. District Chief Parrish has led his staff in the station, the community, and on more emergency incident scenes than can be counted. Today, despite a recent stroke, District Chief Parrish continues to lead his fire company while also continuing to set the example by reaching out to the community by coordinating the Upper Caroline Wounded Warrior Hunt with the local
The next slide shows our closure rate for work orders. We're doing pretty well, in my opinion, so I'm proud of that. We've done some adjustments. We've got some new management in down there, so you can see some improvements in that. This is pretty consistent across the entire residency, but ditching and pipes and culvert take a little bit longer to replace just because there's environmental regulations that we go with, and then there's also dumping that we have to do. It's just a little bit more arduous of a task, and it takes a little bit longer to get through those. Next up is the projects that we have planned and completed. So Rixey Road was completed last fall, so that was hard surfaced. We have a contractor that's going to be coming into Caroline Village beginning in the spring time frame, and they'll be hard surfacing Caroline Village over the summer. 207 over the Mattaponi is scheduled to be closed for a full replacement. We'll have traffic on one side of the bridge, and we'll be replacing that in phases. I know you're not a fan, Mr. Black, but that is a project that we have to replace the bridge. So that'll take us from May of 2020 until July of 2021 for both sides of the bridge to be replaced. So we will have 2 new operable bridges at the end of that, and we ask that everyone pardon our dust. We'll be putting up message boards, putting that out through press releases, and we'll be making sure that the public's made aware of that. There'll be signage, detour plans, all coming probably 2 weeks before that May of 2020 timeframe. So next, in response to a comment, we got a board resolution regarding the Childsburg Smart Scale project. So the design was modified to include a concrete median. Those are typically 10 feet long, but we extended that to be a 25-foot median that'll be on there. So there'll be a concrete island in the middle, which will have the signage on there. I don't know if you had any questions about that, Mr. Black.
No, I actually, I think you knew when the project changed a little bit. That was kind of a surprise to us because it was original design, but I think we can live with this now that the concrete barrier is there. I really appreciate you guys putting that in because I think that will help with the situation we've had in the past. So thank you.
All right, so next, and I know that it's later on your agenda, but for VDOT to be able to adequately scope, cost estimate, and do sketches for Smart Scale, we are requiring that each county provide us a full list of what they plan to move forward with Smart Scale by Friday. So that's February 14th. We're requiring that each county get those to us. We have over 50 projects that need to be cost estimated, designed, and put together as sketches before the pre-application opens on March 1st. So that period is between March 1st and April 1st. Every county has the opportunity to apply for Smart Scale. But again, we're just asking that we can get that information by Friday. You can send it to myself or to the Fredericksburg District Marcy Parker, whichever is more convenient for you. But we just want to make sure that we remind everybody that that deadline is looming. So some traffic items in Caroline County. We've installed some speed limit signs, a 55 mile per hour speed limit, and then a 45 mile per hour truck speed limit on Sparta Road. We also have expensive sidewalk spot only built in 1961, and we did a full replacement in 14 weeks. In response church groups, anybody that wants to participate in Adopt Highway, we have a large amount of information online that we're happy to have
more people who want to participate in that. I know we have a memorandum of understanding with the county to help support that. We've given out a lot of trash bags to county staff to help pick that up. So I think with our efforts combined, it's going to be a big positive, but we are just asking the public if that's something they feel passionately about. We always, appreciate volunteerism. That concludes the formal presentation I have, but I'm happy to take any questions from the board.
We want to start. Mr. Forehand, anything?
No, just the one project, and I probably, Mr. Kelly, just wanted to put it on the radar regarding a sidewalk in Route 1 in Lady Smith. So,
Yeah, we could talk about that.
I know it was last meeting, but I just want to.
Do we have time to actually put that project together? Because
Yeah, it may not be this cycle, but I do want to, a lot of folks walk that road, and just want to put it on our radar to at least scope in the future.
Okay. Mr. Black?
Yeah, I can't reiterate enough, the whole putting the median in, out there in Charlesburg. I think that'll be a big help. I mean, I really do. I was really concerned when you guys changed the original, because the original design was kind of gentle to the curve, and then you came up with this design. It kind of shocked us a little bit that we weren't really, didn't really know about that you had changed the design. But this, I think with that median, I think that's a good compromise, and I think that will help. I'm still a fan, I'll be honest with you, of you guys can maintain those.
Didn't really know about that you had changed design, but this.
Warning, the stripes in the road, I guess. So the warnings on to the warning strips
I'm
that you
still a fan,
have.
I'll be honest with you, of you guys can maintain those.
If you could keep those up, they're kind of worn down. We haven't had much
Stripes
service
in the road, I guess. So
As
this morning,
construction happens, I still like for a while for those to be up. It's going to be a traffic pattern.
But you could keep those up, they're kind of worn down, we haven't had much snow this winter. But as
Also,
construction
I'd
happens, I
ask,
still would like for a while for those to be up.
In front of
because it's gonna be a new
Lake
traffic
Landor,
pattern.
you guys are in the middle of
Don't need
doing
huge cost to
a
be
traffic
done.
light study, I
So
believe.
if you could continue that. Also, I
Where is that?
asked,
I think we requested
in
that.
front of Lake Landor.
Yeah, so I have that from the board from last year. So since Lake Landor is private roads and that's private community, it would be
Yeah, so I have that from the board from
On 639.
last year, so
correct, but that
since
portion
Lake
is
Landor is
technically
private
not
roads,
being
and that's a
maintained
private
as a
community, it would
private
be.
It was up
entrance.
front of, like, it was at the.
I have that from our district traffic engineer when they
That
reviewed
portion
this.
is still
So if
technically not state maintained,
VDOT would
that's
not
a
install
private
that, but if they did
entrance.
their own traffic study, which I
So I have
believe
that
it
from our
provided
district
this
traffic
to
engineer when
county
they
staff
reviewed
back in
this. So if
September of last year. I just
VDOT
got the
would not
email up
install that,
today.
but they did their own
That
traffic
we
study.
would be
which I
willing
believe
to
provided
review
this
their
to
study
county
once it was
staff back in
submitted to
September of
us.
last year. I just pulled
Since
the email up
we wouldn't be
today.
doing this, it would
That
be
we
treated
would
the
be
same way
willing
that
to
we would treat
review
any
their
private
study once it was
establishment. They
submitted
would be
to us,
responsible
since we
for
wouldn't be
coming
doing
off a
this,
private
it would
road
be
to do
treated
their
the
own
same way we
traffic
would treat
board
any private
analysis
establishment. They
through
would be
their own
responsible.
engineers, and they would submit it to
That's
the
coming off a
department
private
who
road,
would
do
do
their
it to
own traffic
permit.
board analysis.
Once it was
through their own
completely
engineers, and they would
built
submit it
and
to the
maintained, we would
department for
maintain
review
it
as their
long-term. It
permit.
would be on the
Once it
responsibility
was
of the
completely
community to install.
built and maintained, we would
I mean,
maintain it long-term,
just
but it would be on the
curiosity, like a
responsibility
major
of the
version,
community to install that.
Traffic light
So,
for the
I mean,
church.
just out of curiosity, so you have like a major.
Depends on how that state, if it was a state-maintained road, then we would put that in.
Depends
Is
on
it
how that
state-maintained?
state, if it was a state-maintained road, then we would
But
put
Lake
that in.
Landor is
If it's
private.
state-maintained-
And so the road that's coming into the state-maintained road and all traffic generated from that is
So the
from a
road that's
private.
coming into the state-maintained road and all the traffic generated from that is from a private entrance.
Thank you.
Mrs. Long?
Thank you.
Mrs. Long?
I did not see in your list of projects, the Board of Makeup. Are they still on there? They weren't in the list.
So Porter-Baker Bay is tentatively scheduled for
Porter
next
Baker Bay is
year
tentatively
for
scheduled for
treatment, so
next
that's
year for
on our
treatment, so
by
that's on our
22
FY
on
'22.
tentative, but we
On tentative,
have
but
had
we
significant changes.
have
The
had
Commonwealth
significant
Transportation
changes.
Board
The
has
Commonwealth
changed the way that we're getting
Transportation Board has changed the way that we're
funding.
getting
And so we're still waiting for how that would impact us locally. Basically, the Commonwealth Transportation Board is putting more money towards roadways that have higher volumes of traffic. So routes that have more than 3,500 vehicles on a daily traffic basis. So it's prioritizing higher volume traffic, and it's unfortunately going to have a harder impact on our lower volume secondaries, including subdivisions. We had looked at surface treating or cape sealing, I'm sorry, I don't know that off the top of my
I
head.
think it was Cape Town.
Cape sealing. So we have that tentatively scheduled. Cape sealing is less expensive than full asphalt. So we do have that tentatively on the schedule, but again, we are still waiting to hear back from the CTB and from VDOT central office to see what that looks like for our allocation moving forward. So our FY21 paving schedule is still in flux right now while we wait to see how that's going to change based on what we had proposed initially.
Thank you. And then also, could you ask your wheels on the ground to please keep an eye on Page Road? There are a couple of timbering activities back there now, and I noticed the last time I drove down there that some of the shoulders are breaking up and there's some potholes on curves and stuff. I'm sure those heavy trucks are wearing it down, so if they could keep an eye on Page Road for us, please, I appreciate it.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Mr. Underwood?
Thank you. Hey, Lincoln. Hi, good afternoon. I just have a couple. On Route 30, we talked about the speed limit going up Route 30 past the State Fair. I think that speed limit, I still think it's too fast for that residential area. We're going to have a major accident there sooner or later. The left turn onto Signboard Road, where it goes from 2 lanes to 1 lane, I think we need to make a better indicator of what people should do there and even make that just 2 lanes up and left turn only there.
Our district traffic engineer did review doing 2 lanes into Signboard and did not support that from a safety aspect based on the amount of pavement width we had. So when he reviewed this, I understand what you're asking, and we did have a traffic engineer review that, and we just didn't have enough room in that location to be able to make it 2 lanes the full
We
distance.
talked about the speed there also.
I can
Even if you
have
could
them pull the speed limit.
yeah, try to reduce the speed, that would also help.
Okay.
Second, falling trees. I understand that from the center of most roads, 25 feet up is state responsibility regarding falling trees, and I don't think we're doing a very good job. I know down Concord Road, down Signboard Road, Ruther Glen Road, up there's some parts of Dawn. We're not doing a good job of ensuring those trees are cut back 25 feet off the road. There's some trees that are sticking out almost in the road. So I would ask you to take a look at that.
And then finally, standing water is still an issue on several roads. If we can do anything about that, I would appreciate it.
So I just want to reiterate, we are doing a lot of ditching. Caroline County is our highest number of work orders about water standing. It's very low lying. It's very difficult. I can understand that people have frustration. We've had a lot of rain recently. There isn't a lot of places for it to go. We do have crews out constantly pulling ditches, boom axing, trying to get trees out of the road. But again, we have 4,700 lane miles of road and less than 100 people to maintain them. So we are doing our best.
Right, and I appreciate that. I really do. I appreciate you taking my calls when I do call. Thank you.
Mr. Thomas?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Keenan, it's always great to see you, and I'm going to start off by saying thank you. Okay?
Should I buckle in?
Yeah. No, it's really not like that. But the speed limit signs that you just mentioned were at the request of a constituent of mine, which just goes to prove how things do work when they work. The constituent called me. I said, the county doesn't do roads, it's all VDOT. I asked you, and we got signs on Lake Smith Road and on Sparta Road. So we do appreciate it. That's how the process works. Thank you very much. And now I need to ask you about Goldsville Road. And that's the road that I believe is crumbling, and I've had several constituents ask me about that. And I see people behind me shaking their heads saying, yes, it is crumbling. Can you tell me if we are doing any better with the schedule to repair?
So I am happy to report Goldsville Road. We have a number of segments. We couldn't do the whole thing in its entirety. We've broken up the worst segments, and we do have that proposed for our FY21 resurfacing schedule. So that would be with hot mix asphalt. So that's will be laid down in 2-inch lift and rolled down.
Real road.
Well, I would take that personally. We think they're all real roads, but in the transportation business.
Real road. Okay. Things that more than a stagecoach could go over. So okay, just kidding. But a road that we would consider totally resurfaced, brand new road.
It would be milled down and resurfaced with hot mix asphalt.
And fiscal 21 starts July 1st.
Correct, but that is being bid in fiscal year '21, so we're most likely we'll be doing spot patches to repair, and then that work would most likely be happening the following summer. So the contract is being let within fiscal year '21. But this is a statewide.
Just bring me up and just slam me down on the ground.
It really brings me great joy, so.
Oh, okay. But if you can send me that schedule, I would be happy to pass that out to all
Well,
of you.
I want to be really clear, this is a tentative schedule, while we still wait for confirmation from the Commonwealth Transportation Board and VDOT Central Office as far as what our allocations will look like next year. I am tentatively hopeful that based on the volume of traffic within Fredericksburg residency, we have the highest volume of traffic, we have the most number of routes over 3,500, so that should be a benefit up in our section of the district, so we should be seeing more, but typically we get $3.3 million each year for asphalt, and hot mix asphalt like we're talking about is $400,000 a lane run. So it doesn't go nearly as far as everyone would expect or want it to go. That's why we're doing Cape Seal on some of our lower volume roads, even though some people don't think that's real.
I know what they mean.
But that's roughly about $100,000 a lane run.
You did promise me my lifetime, so, okay?
Was that on the record?
It can be.
All
All right, I just got a couple more real quick ones. Panola Road, we talked about before. I had somebody ask about striping on Panola Road, and you said it didn't meet the width requirement for striping. But I just rode through there the other day, and I don't know if it necessarily meets the width requirement for 2 cars. So, is there anything we can do in particular? I was coming from 301 on Panola Road, going towards the railroad tracks, and I met 2 cars, and I didn't know if we were going to pass safely. And the ditching is really good there too. So.
I'll take that to heart and hope it's not sarcastic.
No.
I can have our traffic engineer. I can have traffic engineering look at the width and what could be done long term.
Okay, I think that's going to be really serious because it's kind of close. And the last one is Edwards Road. Strap on. We closed, well, you closed Edwards Road, not you personally. Could we please have a sign before what is now, what says James Madison, I think, which will soon be Mary Adams Road? Could we have a sign there that says road closed so people don't think they can keep going?
Sure.
And could we also, please, that was very nice, could we have a sign that points to how to get to 301 south? Which would be taking that road that's Mary Adams and going through that development, which they already know that's the way we're gonna go in. Can you do that?
I will look into that.
Now, can means you have the ability to do that, so it's not may. Can you do that?
I personally cannot, but I can find people who could do that.
Okay. I was only good at math, not English. So thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a pleasure as always.
Good evening.
I'm currently getting more cheeky as we get further.
Well, it gets tougher as you get, no. Because I want to follow up on the sign comment of the road closed. We have a mysterious sign in Caroline County that moves. It was 1.5 miles outside of Caroline County in Essex that got moved all the way into Caroline. And then during hunting season, it moved all the way back. And apparently a sign crew did that because I had 2 constituents stop and talk to those individuals. Can we find out how that sign got a work order to move again? Because what I don't want is to get to October and the sign move again and we don't know why. Because I know that you and staff have talked, but I'd really like resolution of how it got from the old location, from the new location back to the old location, because it is a mystery.
So, yeah, and I was equally mystified by this. That is right between 2 residencies, so Essex County is in our Saluda residency, and they have their own sign crew who kept moving it, and our sign crew kept moving it back, and we finally had a very serious conversation about, this is the line, do not touch the sign. So,
Because it is also a problem with snow removal, because they stop a mile and a half before, and then the crew doesn't, that's no man's land. So I had 8 or 10 constituents when it snowed, they didn't plow because they were in Essex, no, they were in Caroline, both residencies pointed to each other. So I'd really like to make sure that we have the sign issue resolved.
I have also notified the superintendent on both sides of that county line to make sure that they personally have monitors review that road, to make sure that it is plowed should we have snow.
Okay. The next one came to me from a constituent. On the south side of Bowling Green, you go out to the bypass. There are a number of people that it is so dark there at night that people don't always stop where they're supposed to. Can we get a street light put in at that intersection to make it clear where to stop? Because if you're not familiar, you may not even know and just come straight on through. And there have been a number of people that have said to me, they can't believe that it's so dark and there's nothing there. Is that something we can look at?
We can look at, I'm sorry, I'm not really an expert in street lighting, but I can find someone who can get me that answer and report back to you.
And I'd like to meet them there at like 10 o'clock at night with no moon and cloud cover. Because that way they'll really understand what I'm talking about. Because that whole curve through on 301 around the bypass around Bowling Green, I live almost on it. And it's not unusual for me to hear somebody squealing tires and either hitting something or a guardrail. So I know that it's one of those, and it's typically further down on the south end of town where they're coming out. So I'd really like to see if we can't look at that. We talked at one of our meetings about a Route 2 study from Bowling Green to the county, Spotsylvania, Caroline County line. Mrs. Long and Mr. Thomas and I have all talked about what would it take to get a study, because Farmer Drive on the VDOT side has actually 2 entrances onto Route 2. And depending on which one you're in, if you're going to town or to Spotsylvania, and somebody tries to come in either one of those, there isn't any way to do that. Is there any way we can get that road perpendicular to Route 2? VDOT owns that island between the Y. So it's been like that, I know, for a long time, and the store was there, that's why it's been like that since they rebuilt Route 2 in the 40s. What do we need to do to A, get a study done, and B, get that straightened out?
So we can look at possibly doing a STAR study for Route 2, and I would have a member of our planning staff, the district planning staff oversees those studies. So we can reach back out and explain how to apply for those studies and how to go about getting that. And then we could look at potentially secondary 6-year plan or other secondary improvement projects as far as straightening out the intersection.
Okay, because that, I mean, we all have issues with Route 2. Mr. Thomas, who drives a lot, Mrs. Long, her district is on the lower part of it, my district's on the upper part. So if there were a way to get a study done, I think it would help. And also the facilitating of Farmer Drive on the VDOT side, not that the Farmer Drive on the other side isn't equally as bad. It's just got a lot less options, and that may also need to be looked at. And I think those are, yeah, but that's, we have to have more straight road and more passing lanes. Well, 2 more passing lanes.
I think we would need to look at that and make sure that the geometry would support more passing lanes. We prefer for people to pass but it's safe, so we would need to do that in straight roads.
Yeah, we don't need any more EMS calls on Route 2. We've had our fair share, even where there are 3 lanes at the top of some of the roads where people think that people aren't coming as fast as they really are and pull out and they don't make it. So, Mrs. Long?
Would you recommend, I see the STAR study for Farmers Drive, that would be a little bit faster, but all of Route 2 needs a state aid engineering study. We're having too many accidents, we're getting a lot of pressure from Spotsylvania with all the building going on up there. Would you recommend we consider that as a smart step? Or are studies not really
or studies. STARS would be kind of simpler solutions that aren't necessarily as large scale as STAR, as smart scale.
Small, so
So-
we've got miles of reach, you've got corner stores, Stonewall Jackson, farmers.
So just to be clear, I'm recommending you all look into potentially a STAR study for all of Route 2, whereas for the two entrances from Farmer Drive, I don't think that that would require a STAR study. That would be minor engineering to look into that, but we would need to address funding for that long term. It is more difficult than just slapping down some asphalt. We would need to remove things, change the way drainage goes. So that's a larger project, and we need to have engineering work as well as potentially right away if it needed to happen.
STARS would study all those, that's correct.
Thank you for this evening, and thanks for, and you should have a great budget. There was no snow removal. We're crossing our fingers that
We
there
are
isn't any.
already looking at ways that we can spend the extra money that we have.
Mr. Collins
Potentially-
just informed me that I'm going to jinx us.
I have also jinxed us, but I was requested to do a wish list with the money that we have left, and I think I'm at $6 million right now. I don't think we're getting that, but we have really gone to town if we do get more money from the state.
But it's gotta be used in the county that it was supposed to be used in. So don't give our snow money to
Well,
sponsor.
your snow money is shared among the residency.
We like that, but we want it used here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for this evening. Next on the agenda is the presentation of the proposed fiscal year 2021 budget for Caroline County Public Schools. Dr. Calvera.
Good evening, Chair Seeley, Vice Chair Thomas, members of the board, and Mr. Cully. I am pleased to be with you this evening to present the school board's approved proposed FY21 school budget. I am Dr. Rollins, Chairman of the school board, and I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge all other school board members who are present this evening. If you would, please stand. Thank you. You may be seated. There are 6 major objectives we hope to accomplish during our presentation tonight. Budget context, which will align our budget request with our strategic plan, Pathways 2022. Understanding the FY21 budget process, providing a deep dive into the school division's 12 most critical budget priorities, and defining the impact of state finances and budget drivers. We will close our time together this evening with a brief overview of the next steps and upcoming meetings. Building FY21 budget context. Pathways 2022 is Caroline County Public Schools' 5-year strategic plan. The 4 overarching goals of teaching and learning, school and community relationships, health and safety, and organizational effectiveness serve as a guide for all work that the division tackles. We work purposefully to align all school, department, and division efforts with Pathways 2022 to increase efficiencies, enhance achievement, and ensure we are strong stewards of human and fiscal resources. Extending beyond the 4 strategic goals, Caroline County Public Schools embraces the following values: safety, unity, collaboration, citizenship, exploration, engagement, and last but not least, diversity. We use these foundational values as our guide to communication, decision-making, and action. Tonight, you will observe the purposeful alignment of our budget priorities to these pathways, beliefs, and goals. We stand before you with great confidence that our FY21 budget outlines a roadmap for our continued success and achievement of the CCPS vision and mission. To demonstrate our school division's commitment to productivity, opportunity, and achievement, the following 4 slides reflect successful strategies aligned to Pathways 2022 and the intentional allocation of fiscal and human resources. Please note that many of the 1920 teaching and learning accomplishments are represented on the slide before you. 100% of schools in Caroline County are accredited. The highest recorded on-time graduation rate at 93%, as well as record-breaking scholarship monies earned by the class of 2019. That total was over $7 million. While not an exhaustive representation of all CCPS partnerships, each of these businesses on this slide, the civic organizations and nonprofits, support our schools and community. From mentorship to apprenticeships, to interview skills and job opportunities, to the Y Swim program and the AP Hill field trips, CCPS is blessed with a growing network of folks who are willing to collaborate. Health and safety. Health and safety incorporates mental health and wellness, safety and facilities management, spanning numerous mental health partnerships to our social emotional curriculum, to energy and facility upgrades, also including our critical teamwork with the Sheriff's Department. CCPS is committed to each student and staff member's well-being. And finally, goal 4, organizational effectiveness. Organizational effectiveness incorporates strategic planning, financial management, and human resources. The rollout of a Kita box, an asset management system, diversified recruitment strategies, and our county partnerships enable CCPS to continue enhancing our organizational effectiveness and efficiency. I would be remiss if I did not bring to the attention of the board that Caroline County School Board was recognized by the Association as its only board of distinction. Next, we will talk about CCPS FY21 budget process. As demonstrated before you, our annual budget process is deliberate, it is inclusive, and it is comprehensive. From our boots on the ground facility walks to diverse stakeholder committees, to lobbying and legislation, to collaboration with local government officials, CCPS is committed to developing and delivering a budget reflective of our most critical and mandatory needs. Finally, the process is only enhanced by the school division's purposeful education, awareness, and advocacy efforts. Since October, CCPS has employed a wide array of budget-related activities that support our school community in being engaged and knowledgeable. You will see on the chart the 5 points highlighted: joint board meetings, advisory committees, building and department meetings, budget newsletters and social media, and lobbying. Now that you have a better understanding of how Pathways 2022 drives our achievement and budget process, our superintendent of schools, Dr. Sarah Calvert, will come forward to outline our FY21 budget priorities. Dr. Calvert.
Good evening. I will provide an overview of the 12 budget priorities identified as mandatory or critical need by CCPS advisory committees. Specifically, I will spotlight FY21 compensation, health insurance, VRS, the school counselor mandate, and various human resources that support continued advancement of our strategic plan goals. Budget Priority 1. Teacher compensation continues to be a national, state, and local priority. While the dollar amount associated with the proposed 5% increase equates to approximately $1.5 million, it is critical to understand the data behind this request. Specifically, it is important to remember trends associated with CCPS employment demographics, the 3-year implementation of salary study recommendations, regional compensation trends, and resulting implications. Prior to delving further into CCPS compensation data, it is important to share employee demographics and related salary study financials. As the largest employer in the county, CCPS employs 700 contracted people. For the purpose of context only, the county staff equates to approximately 281 employees. We provide this lens to help ground people's understanding of the sizable financials needed to complete the 3-year implementation of the CCPS salary study, which achieves FY18 minimum market value in 2021. More specifically, the objective of the study was to bring CCPS employee groups falling below the minimum market value to FY18 minimum market value plus fringes, which is not inclusive of health insurance. As noted on the previous slide, the request to spread the study implementation over 3 years yields the following data. In year 1, FY19 implementation, the cost of the salary increase was $848,727, with $400,000 from local funds and $448,727 from state funding. This resulted in a 0 years of experience salary of $40,600. Year 2 implementation, which is our current FY20 year, cost $1,026,229, with $562,000 from local funds and $464,229 from the state. The 0 years of experience salary rose to its current level of $41,800. Now, as previously stated, the goal of the study was to achieve FY18 minimum market value. Year 3 implementation in FY21 would require a 5% salary increase to reach the FY minimum market value in 2021. The resulting 0 years of experience salary for 2021 would be $43,332. To be competitive across the state and region, CCPS pay scales must demonstrate to current and future educators that our community values public education. When beginning the salary study in 2018, Caroline fell in the bottom for regional salary comparisons. This slide, which includes 13 neighboring recruitment competitors, documents our continued inability to compete. CCPS falls 13th out of 14 divisions for the lowest 0 and 5-year teacher salaries when compared to Chesterfield, Culpeper, Essex, Fredericksburg, Hanover, Henrico, King George, King William, Louisa, Orange, Richmond, Spotsylvania, and Stafford. Only Essex County falls below our 0 years of experience salary by $483. To further demonstrate the need for continued annual commitment to pre-K-12 education in Caroline, this what-if cost of living analysis demonstrates the positive cumulative impact of anticipated and committed funding streams. If CCPS received funding aligned with the annual Social Security COLA increase beginning in 2008, the FY 2021 0 years of experience salary would be $44,835. This salary would be $1,513 higher than what is being proposed today with an FY21 5% increase. And CCPS's salary would fall 7th out of the 14 regional comparisons versus our current ranking of 13 out of 14. In closing out this budget priority, it is critical to keep in mind the past, present, and future compensation implications. Specifically, the 3-year salary study implementation was hindered by the influx of state funding and school divisions' comparable salary increases, resulting in diminished scale impact. The CCPS 0 and 5 years of experience scales continue to fall 13 out of 14 in comparison divisions, making recruitment and retention a continued challenge. The FY21 5% compensation increase would support every employee group in reaching the FY18 minimum market value in FY 2021. And the final future implication, planning for, at minimum, a consistent annual investment in schools in the form of a COLA and STEP is a necessity. Health insurance. CCPS understands the importance of an attractive total compensation package when recruiting and retaining staff. Continued monitoring of our health insurance offerings informs our need to make plan changes and premium adjustments to ensure sustainability while maintaining quality and regional competitiveness. Additionally, an increased focus on division-wide wellness is supporting the documented decrease in high-cost claims. The first 3 quarters of renewal data have been reviewed, and a projected increase of 8 to 10% is anticipated. While our annual insurance data reflects significant variability with the local choice in health insurance costs, our 5-year average of 9.72 aligns with the national trend for annual insurance increases. Final plan rates will not become available until March. However, the school division's goal will be to utilize increased state funding to eliminate or minimize the impact of any rate increase upon our employees. The third budget priority relates to the state-mandated VRS increase for professional and non-professional groups. As part of the reevaluation and the actuarial process, the discount rate for the VRS plan dropped from 7% to 6.5%, resulting in increased rates and Caroline's employer-only increase of $238,132. Work-based learning coordinator. The CCPS profile of a graduate outlines how all students will become 3E ready: enrolled, enlisted, and/or employed. Development of the 5 C's: communication, collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, and citizenship, and providing relevant learning opportunities for career exploration, workplace readiness, and community engagement are critical to creating productive citizens. Undergirding the importance of the profile of a graduate is the VDOE's inclusion of a new data point for school accreditation. Beginning with the class of 2022, which are our current 10th graders, all Virginia high schools will be evaluated using the College and Career Readiness Index. This index is measured by a school division's ability to provide all students with work-based learning opportunities, CTE coursework, and advanced placement and dual enrollment courses. To better define how schools can adequately provide experiences aligned with the new College and Career Readiness Index, the VDOE created the Comprehensive Work-Based Learning Guide, which includes 11 experiences aimed at providing 6th through 12th graders with authentic workplace experiences, such as job shadowing, service learning, mentorship, externship, school-based enterprise, internship, entrepreneurship, school experience, cooperative education, and apprenticeship. A work-based coordinator would serve as the liaison between schools, students, and local businesses and organizations to ensure our collective success. School counselor. Governor Northam has adopted the gold standard ratio of school counselors to students. This state mandate requires during fiscal year 21 that elementary averages run 1 to 375 students, middle 1 to 325, and high school 1 to 300. While in compliance at the middle and high, the new FY21 ratio requires an additional counselor be hired for elementary. It is important to note that 5 additional counselors will be needed in FY22 to achieve the 1 to 250 ratio at all 3 levels. Classroom FTEs. The FY21 budget includes a request for 4 classroom positions, specifically 2 elementary classroom teachers for Madison Elementary School. Projected enrollment at 4th grade is 28.6 students at 4th grade and 27 per class at 5th grade. CHS is in need of an additional English teacher to remain in compliance with the standard of quality for English, which is a secondary average of 1 to 24 students. Finally, CMS and CHS are lacking a chorus teacher certified in vocal music. Currently, chorus is taught by the band directors. To increase choral offerings, increase enrollment, and provide competitive opportunities for CCPS students, a chorus FTE is needed to service both CMS and CHS jointly. Instructional Technology Resource Teacher, ITRT. To be 3E ready upon graduation, our students must be digitally literate and equipped with the 5C power skills. Currently, CCPS employs 4 instructional resource teachers who integrate technology, oversee innovation in STEM labs, support the secondary one-to-one initiative, and co-plan with teachers to ensure computer science standards are being embedded in instruction. With only 4 ITRTs, Madison Elementary and Bowling Green Elementary are required to share an ITRT, resulting in diminished equity of access. Behavioral Specialist. CCPS is looking to add a 3rd behavioral specialist to our social and emotional learning team. One specialist is currently funded by Title I and supports students at Bowling Green and Madison, while the 2nd specialist is funded out of special education monies and works solely with students with special needs. A 3rd specialist is needed to support regular education students at Lewis and Clark, CMS, and CHS who are displaying Tier 2 and Tier 3 behaviors and require intervention. A behavior specialist develops individualized behavior plans, supports and implements positive behavioral interventions, conducts functional behavioral assessments, serves as a liaison between families, community, and schools, and coaches teachers on classroom behavioral strategies. Operations FTEs. To support Pathways 2022 Goal 4 Organizational Effectiveness, CCPS is requesting a 0.4 or 2-day-a-week procurement FTE. The level of expertise required to ensure regulatory compliance is needed on staff. As mentioned in the joint board workshop, a full-time job share with the county would enable both entities to benefit from this human resource. The number one finding in the superintendent's 90-day entry plan process was the need to rebrand, to tell our story, and to create a public relations campaign. Over 130 stakeholders were interviewed, and over 80% of participants identified public relations and rebranding as the most critical areas of division improvement. A communications and community relations specialist would handle all media relations, publications, social media, and crisis communication. He or she would foster and nurture business partners and serve as the community events coordinator for events such as Polar Bear Plunge, Bowling Green Parade, Senior Citizen Gala, and the Bowling Green Wine Festival, etc. The final budget request reflects our belief in differentiation of resources based on need. While accredited, CMS must address some state and federal conditions relating to reading progress. The introduction of a reading coach would enable CMS to experience increased professional development and support with planning, program implementation, and student interventions. At this time, Chief Operations Officer Marcia Stevens will highlight state and local finances.
Good evening. I will be going over FY21 proposed budget for daily membership, but the majority of the state funding is provided to the schools based on this funding formula. ADM is membership of a student from the first day of school until March 31st of each year. Based on a 5-year historical trend, CCPS is projecting an ADM of 4044 for FY21 budget calculations. CPS monitors the ADM on a monthly basis and will update projections once the March 31st ADM for the current year is reported in April. The local composite index determines a locality's ability to pay educational cost. LCI is calculated using a locality's true value of real property, adjusted gross income, and taxable retail sales. Increases in each of these categories has resulted in Caroline County's FY21-22 LCI rising 3.1%. It is important to note, as Caroline's ability to pay increases, the state funding to schools decrease. The FY21 proposed operational fund budget totals $47,047,460, or 6.8% increase over the prior year. Instruction is increasing $2.55 million, or 7.9%. The increase in the operational budget includes the 5% salary adjustment, estimated health insurance increase, VRS and G Life group life rates, and the additional positions presented earlier. Based on the governor's proposed budget, the state revenues are increasing $1.32 million. Adjustments have been made to decrease federal revenues to align with the projected carryover and the grant awards. Additional local transfers for bus lease and bus purchases are aligned to the projected revenues for FY21. With no local operational increase included, the FY21 proposed operational budget has a revenue gap of $1.68 million, or 3.8%. Crossover happens this week, and CCPS will continue to monitor the state funding during the rest of the General Assembly session and update accordingly. Of the $1.3 million in additional state funding proposed by the governor, $886,000 relate to mandated expenditures increased in CCPS's budget. Some of these mandated increases in expenditures include funding specifically for VRS and group life, $247,000 increase for Virginia preschool program, which also requires an increase on the locality of $142,000. $297,290 for special educational regional program, which those children will no longer be funded in ADM, and therefore the change in our projections for ADM, and the one school counselor based on reduced ratio requirements. The special grant fund, textbook fund, and food services funds have been adjusted based on the estimated projected revenues. The total reduction is in these separate funds is $315,000. This chart includes all expenses by category for all funds. The instructional category is 71.57% of the entire budget, with transportation the next largest expense at 8.38% of the budget. Administration, attendance, and health is the lowest at 3.84% of the budget, and this category includes the administration offices such as human resources and finance, in addition to school nurses and 2 psychologists. This chart includes all revenues by source for all funds. The state revenue is 55.11% of the entire budget, and the county transfer for operations, leases, and bus purchases is 30.1% of the budget. Other revenue is the lowest revenue source at 1.59% of the entire budget. I will now turn back to Dr. Calvert to finish this up with next steps.
As budget season progresses, CCPS will continue to monitor legislative activity, keep our school community abreast of budgetary developments, and participate in CIP public hearings on February 27th, the county administrator's budget presentation on March 10th, the county public hearing, which captures both school operations operations and CIP on March 24th, and the county's budget adoption on April 14th. The following glossary has been included to define acronyms used throughout the presentation. We hope that you find this of assistance. We thank you for your time and look forward to working collaboratively to meet the needs of Caroline County Public Schools. Thank you.
David, can you save that presentation digitally so that we don't have to scan it while you've got it on that computer?
We'll go ahead and provide one to you. Yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, he's got it there, so it'll be easy to say.
We would prefer to provide a second copy that does have all of our notes associated with it as well. Thank you.
Okay. Board members, comments, Mr. Forehand, Mr. Black, Mrs. Long, Mr. Underwood, Mr. Town? Thank you, Dr. Calvert. I don't think you.
I only had one, and that was the junior preschool.
Yes, sir.
Is that, we're required at preschool?
Well, we are required to actually host multiple venues for pre-K education. We obviously have a provider with Rural Family Development that brings in Head Start. We have Title I pre-K, and we also have the Virginia Preschool Initiative. I don't know that there is actually language associated with the word requirement, but it absolutely is a fundamental process associated with preparing our students for K readiness.
No other questions?
Just to expand upon that, Mrs. Stevens just shared that the actual template that comes from the Department of Education allocates those CPI funds and the pre-K funds. So being that it is already included within that funding template would indicate that it is a necessity.
We are. Thank you, Dr. Calvert.
Thank you.
I was gonna actually remove the broadband advisory committee because Mr. Thomas and I still haven't resolved that. Yes, Mr.
Can I ask you a question on that? The governor, I was at the Baker conference, the governor and the national government are starting to release chunks of money, not probably enough for broadband. And the localities that hop on this the fastest are the ones that are gonna get the money. And so I'm concerned, we've been doing this.
And I'll answer that for you because I've been concerned about this, and we need a provider. And because we were not given the funds for the Panola, we were not one of the score winners for the Panola Road project that we actually applied for through the VATI grants. We need a provider that, and I've been talking with Atlantic Broadband, but they are a little stung because they were initially told that those projects, we were with 6 other counties, scored and actually won the amount of money that we asked for. Then that whole process was rescored and it was delivered a month later and we were no longer the winners. So one of the concerns, and I'm talking to Atlantic Broadband trying to figure out where they will work with us at because we need a provider. And they are still evaluating whether or not they are willing to do that because they had a lot of money in the proposal that ended up not being scored as a winner. So we need a provider that will work with us because that's what it's going to take. I understand your point about the funds. I have talked with Senator McDougal. I have talked with Delegate Ransom, Delegate Fowler, and Delegate Orr, all about the funds and how they think those scoring processes are going to take place. And I'm talking to Atlantic Broadband to see if they will actually facilitate helping us in that process. I understand your question. I'm working at that from a lot of different angles to see how we actually get and how we actually score a win and where we would go.
And I understand, I just at the VACO conference, they talked about localities that were frozen out from the previous time, and they seem like they're ready to go. And they said the most prepared is going to get the grants. And I'd like to see the committee that we were talking about up and running as well.
We have several projects ready to go with Atlantic Broadband. locally, Panola Road and an industrial park. Whether or not they're willing to actually go forward is our real problem.
The other thing, like, and I without a doubt agree with rapid response, and you reminded me of the plan we had before a long time ago to work with the schools. And I think I'll try to get with the school representative as soon as possible. That may be an outside the box way to think to get something done quickly. So, okay. And I'll have my appointment is not ready for 3CA.
We could move to consent agenda. Anybody?
I just had a quick question on D.
Which letter?
D.
D is in dog. And Mrs. Long, do you still have one on E?
Yes, and considering the time, we just able to pull that the next meeting. We'll take this for,
We're working on construction on that. We still have time to get grade.
Yeah, you can say, we'll put it on for next.
So we're going to table E.
We got the construction going, Mr. Black. Contractors know, this would be. This is Rick. Yeah, just be this done.
So if I have, right, Mr. Underwood?
So, Mr. Chairman, I think a motion is in order for consent agenda to be approved, A, B, C.
Mr. Black has
remove agenda item E. Go ahead.
Mr. Black, D.
I guess my question is, looking at this, I mean, the tires, you made a recommendation of 48-inch tires not taken anymore. I guess my question is, where would someone take them?
Actually, 48-inch tires would be considered, we've just reduced 48 to 22. So anything, we would accept 48 that has to be cut in half. So typically, the only things you see 48 inches, tractor trailer tires are 22. You're talking about tractor tires that are huge.
So someone doesn't have to take them?
Correct.
Okay, all right, no, thank you.
Okay.
I just said, on that point, if we're going to increase it, would there be a notice put up ahead of time that there's going to be an increase, or is it instant?
We would just make it instant. It's for commercial only, so this doesn't affect, citizens still be able to put in their 4 tires and dispose of them without any cost. We have companies that provide services of selling tires that bring tractor trailer loads of tires to us at a time that we then have to reload on our trucks and haul them down the road.
I understand that, will they be notified ahead of time? So
Yes, before they just show up, yes, ma'am.
That's all I want to make sure we're clear.
So do I have a motion for A, B, C, and D?
Mr. Chairman, I'll amend my motion to include, my motion to include agenda D and the removal of item E from next meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a second? I have a motion to second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? I have a motion carries. We're going to go into recess until, well, I will. We're going to come back to public comment at 8:10. It's about 14 minutes because we are recessed till 8:10. order the meeting back to order. We are now to public comment. Public comment is 3 minutes. It's comments directed to the board. It will be a question and answer. And for those that may want to speak about the school budget, remember, we heard it for the first time tonight, and we will have a public hearing on the county budget, probably the first or second meeting in March, not sure, not the first, the second. We'll advertise it, it's potentially the second. Just so for everybody's own information, just so they know where we are. So with that, I'm going to open public comment.
Good evening, Chairman and board members. My name is Jasmine Blackwell. I'm an English teacher and the head varsity softball coach at Caroline High School. I live in Mattapanai District. I'm here to speak to you about adding an English and course teacher to the high school. This school year, we have been working with one less English teacher. Teachers are handling more preparations each semester and more students in every class period because of this. So for this English curriculum, this means that entirely different short stories, novels, poems, and plays have to be read, studied, and prepared for teachers for each different prep. When the English position was cut, it was more than just losing an employee, we lost opportunities. The first benefit of adding an English teacher to our high school team would be to decrease the student-teacher ratio. Our focus is on conferring with students about their work. Our goal is to meet with the students where they are and then take them to where we need them to be. However, with more than 24 students in the room, it is not guaranteed a teacher will have time to meet with all of his or her students in that timely manner. Our students must be prepared for their SOLs and gain hands-on skills to be ready for employment, enlistment, or enrollment come time for graduation. Malcolm X expressed that education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who are prepared for it today. Smaller class sizes allows teachers at all grade levels to instruct and assess more effectively to have a better grip on students' preparation for the next phases in their lives. Once we lost an English teacher, student-driven electives that we once had offered were taken away. Mrs. Wu's online newspaper class offered opportunities that regular English classes lacked. 2 years ago, a student was accepted to study journalism in France because of his experience he had gained from the class. Other possible electives that could be offered are composition theory, teaching for tomorrow, and public speaking. All these classes could offer scholarships to students and grow teacher stability. Adding back an English teacher will help us collectively work smarter and not just harder. Another position and class that is lacking in Caroline County is chorus. There are many talents in our neighborhood, but yet not many outlets to let it flow through. Singing releases endorphins just like playing an instrument or sport. Surrounding schools offer chorus and show choir, and we need to offer equitable or additional options for the students in Caroline, especially when there's only one high school. Our school counselors have expressed a growth in theater arts. 130 students have signed up for Theater Arts Part 1 for 2020-2021 school year. Students are looking for chances to sing and dance, not only act. If we are aligning our focus on a profile of a graduate adopted by CCPS, we need to meet the students, okay, and we also need to make them well-rounded in education that is required. Limiting our courses puts education in the box.
Ms. Blackwell, can you wrap it up because we're beyond 3 minutes?
Yes. Here's the most dangerous thought. We've always done it this way. We need the instructions and class offerings to meet the 21st century demands. We need to adapt to the world and what the needs are for the students, prepare for them today so they're ready tomorrow. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, I am Elizabeth Mitchell, and I work in this county, I live in this county, and I've seen amazing things happen in this county, and I ask you to continue to invest, and I ask you even more to fund these teachers. I work with 5th grade, but I get to experience Madison, and I see some of the most caring moments. I see classrooms that are too full. So I do support the bring us more teachers. I ask that you leave a legacy. You know, go above and beyond. I agree with safety, but it does begin by having the people there for our littlest, the ones that aren't here, and their parents aren't here, probably because they're putting them to bed. But nobody speaks for them. And I continue to, and I want to see our schools funded, and the health care of our teachers covered, and you will continue to see me. Thank you.
What district are you from?
Reedy Church.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman and board members. My name is Teresa Hicks, and I'm from the Port Royal District. I'm also the principal at Madison Elementary. This group that with me includes my 4th and 5th grade teachers, and we're here as a united front to speak on the 2 line items in the school budget of an additional 4th and 5th grade teacher for Madison Elementary. I've been in Madison for the past 33 years. During my tenure here, I have seen many changes, both positive and negative, that impacted our teachers, students, and community. I wish I could say that all the changes I've seen in today's educational climate have all been positive, but I cannot. While we are a smaller school, 518 students, we're also a school with a big heart. We are working hard to educate our students in the content areas of reading, math, science, and history, but also developing communication skills, critical thinking, collaboration, creative thinking, and citizenship. In order to accomplish these goals, we need quality teachers and class sizes that support learning engagement for all students each and every day. We currently have 3 5th grade classes and 3 4th grade classes. Our current class size is 27 students in 4th and 25 students in 5th. When 3rd grade moves on to 4th in the coming school year, there'll be 28 students per class in 4th grade. To provide rigorous lessons and increase levels of student engagement, research shows class size impacts overall student performance. The larger class size impacts the learning of all students. In addition, the older the student, the more space is needed within a classroom. And we invite you to tour our school with a focused lens on the physical space of our classrooms. All students in Carolina deserve a quality education and quality time with their teachers, and with large classroom numbers, this becomes challenging work. As the state requires that we further engage students in soft skills to better equip them for the workforce, we are advocating to meet that requirement by providing teacher environments that are conducive to active learning. An additional class at 4th and 5th will allow for this to occur. We appreciate your support of Caroline schools in the past, and we look forward to your continued support for the future of our youth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman and board members. My name is Jamie Pruitt. I am the reading coach at Madison and the 2019-2020 Teacher of the Year for the county. I'm a resident of Hanover, but I drive the 32 miles each way every day to work for Caroline County Public Schools. I'm here to speak to you about perception. Lee Atwater once said perception is reality. It doesn't matter if the perception is actually true. A perception being untrue makes it no less a reality in the minds of those who think it. There are perceptions made about everything: people, organizations, governments, occupations, and school systems. As I said, I live in Hanover. I worked in Henrico for years before making the switch to Carolina. I'm here to tell you that there are absolutely perceptions made by both external and internal audiences about the school systems that surround the greater Richmond area. I'm not going to name counties or divisions, but I am going to tell you the perceptions teachers have of their neighboring school systems. Here's one. Pays well, but stick to elementary schools. You definitely do not want to teach the middle or high schools. Here's another. Decent system. Just make sure you do a good job in the West End. The East End will eat you alive. Another. Don't even work there. And the last, grade system. Hard to get into because no one leaves, but it's a great system. These are absolutely what teachers say to one another about potential employers.
Now, I didn't put Caroline in there because I want to talk to you about the perception Caroline has around its school system. When I tell people that I work in Caroline, they simply say, poor Caroline, poor Caroline. Not said with malice and not said with mocking, but said with pity. And guys, we've got to fix that. I'm from a rural community, raised in a middle class, blue collar family, and pity is about the most insulting thing that anyone can give me. When someone says poor Caroline, I say no, I say you're wrong. I talk about the amazing 93% graduation rate, the collaborative work we do to engage all students, and how we are a small yet mighty and cohesive division that who sustains and in some areas surpass the work of larger districts. I try to recruit. You should come to Caroline. I say, why? They say, it's far away and they don't pay as well. And then I know I've lost the battle. I need your help changing the perception of Caroline County Public Schools. I need ammunition that only you can give me. I need something with which I can counter. I need facts to change their perceptions. So when they say why, I can say because teachers are greatly valued and it shows in our compensation. I can say because of our small class sizes. I can say because Caroline County cares about the strong achievement of all students and it shows in their financial priorities. So when they ask me why, I can say that we have a board of supervisors who listens to us, who's willing to sit with us and work with us and invest in us. Only then can we all change their perception. Thank you.
Thank you. I gotta keep the clapping down. It's an orderly room, it's no clapping. The same goes for booing.
Good evening. My name is Carol Yonkin, and I am a resident and I live in the Western Carolina District. I'm coming tonight as a parent and as a teacher in the county. I have children at both the elementary and secondary level, and I've been teaching here for the past 20 years. Just recently, I have taken on a new role, and I have become an ITRT, Instructional Technology Resource Teacher. I've come speaking to you tonight about the need for a fifth position. ITRTs are, as defined by the Virginia Department of Education, they are intended to be teachers of teachers, providers of technology, professional development, and supporters of instruction. ITRTs train teachers to integrate technology and software effectively in the classroom. As ITRTs, we conduct trainings at the school and district level. We teach teachers and staff on countywide programs such as Power School and Performance Matters. We help ensure that the computer science standards are being met by co-planning with classroom teachers and attending weekly PLC meetings with each grade level. We coach new and veteran teachers on how to use technology and enhance their lessons. We are also responsible for STEM labs at each school. We prepare lessons and activities that support science, technology, engineering, and math, along with help build communication and collaboration skills that students need to be successful. We work with classroom teachers to ensure that these lessons and activities correlate to the SOLs being taught in the classroom. It is also the job of the ITRT to maintain and supply the labs with materials. I tell you all these things not to say that it's too much and I can't do it, but to say that it's a lot. I am the ITRT that's split between Bowling Green and Madison. I'm spread between two buildings, 95 teachers, and 1,200 students. By adding a fifth position, those numbers would be cut in half, and that would help to ensure that our teachers and students, the future of Caroline, have the quality and instructional resources that they need to become 3E ready upon graduation. Thank you.
Thank you.
And my name is Beth Hausler. I live in the Bowling Green District. I actually just moved to Caroline over the summer. I lived in Hanover for many years, but I've worked in the schools for a number of years. And I'm here also asking for that fifth ITRT position. I know I've talked to some of you before at events, but I'm going to echo what Carol said. You know, we've only increased the amount of technology that we've had. We have our digital initiative now in grades 6 through 12. We have the computer science standards, which we're implementing this year in K through 8. And we have our innovation labs at the elementary schools. So the idea of splitting an ITRT between those buildings is rather cumbersome. Now, I have a lot of experience talking about ITRTs. I was an ITRT. I was in the original group of ITRTs that the county hired, and I guess now I've been in that position for a couple of years, but I understand, the idea of balance. I think I worked in 3 buildings at the same time, but we didn't have the one-to-one initiative. We didn't have the computer science standards. We did not have the innovation labs. So my time's almost up, but again, asking for that 5th ITRT position. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, board. My name is Tamara Feggins. I live in the Madison District in Caroline, and I teach at Caroline at Madison Elementary School. I've worked in Caroline school systems for 24 years in the county. I'm here to speak about a couple of things. The first thing is the need for the 4th and 5th grade teachers at Madison Elementary School. We are stretched very thin. It is very difficult to reach all of our students and give them what they need. That is my job as a teacher, to make sure that all of my students are ready to go to middle school. And it's difficult. It is very difficult. I spend a lot of time after school on my own time tutoring these kids because I don't have the time to reach them during the school day. And that is my free time, and I don't get compensated for that at all. We need those positions. We're stretched very thin, and next year it's going to be even worse with the 3rd graders coming up because it's a larger class of students. I also want to speak to the ITRT position. I watch Carol as she tries to do her job between the 2 schools and see all that she wants to do and all that needs to be done, and it is very difficult for her to get it all done. In order for her to be effective, in order to reach those new state mandates that we have, we need that other ITRT position so that we can have one in every school. Lewis and Clark has one, CMS has one, the high school has one. If we're going to talk about equity, we need to have one for every school in the county. Finally, I'm going to reiterate some of what Ms. Pruitt said. As a county resident, it is difficult for me to talk about working in the county school system and to talk to people about moving to Caroline. And you hear people and you talk to people and they say, oh, well, yeah, Caroline's a great place and I'd love to live there. The location's fantastic. The commute would be great. But the schools, they're not so good. We need to change that perception, guys. We need to fund the schools. We need to keep those good teachers that we have. And the way to do that is to let them know that we care about them and we value them. And in order to do that, we're going to have to put some more money towards it. I appreciate your time. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Kevin Whiteman from the Bowling Green District. I'm glad to see on the amendments we added the AP Hill Hunt and Fishing article that came out last week, and a lot of the boys that use the hill to hunt and fish were shocked to learn that they've suspended all hunting and fishing on the post. They're claiming it was something to do, and that, to be honest with you, their justification doesn't hold water, that it was a force protection move when they fall under the same command as Quantico and Fort Belvoir, and neither of those posts have changed their posture at all. And there's been some claim that because of the force protection, they had to pull the game warden to become one of the rent-a-cops and heightened security on the post, but yet their posture hasn't changed. I found the timing strange. It was right after hunting season. We got turkey season coming up and a ton of folks fishing over there. So I thought we needed to do a two-pronged attack. I would come to you all tonight and talk to Rob Whitman this morning. He's going to work it because it's federal law that land belongs to all of us. When they're not training or there's not a high security or a terrorism threat, it's supposed to be open for the citizens' use. And all of the military posts I've been stationed at around the United States and even overseas, and I'm so old it was before terrorism, we never had a heightened posture where you couldn't get on posts without being cavity searched. But I think time is of the essence. I agree that we need to do this resolution. Again, turkey season's about 3 weeks away, and fishing's coming right on. And I think we're getting sold bill of goods. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Nancy Carson, and most of you know me, I'm from the Madison District, and I am on the board and represent all of these people who came tonight to speak. And I just hope that you all have listened to all the different sides that they have presented, because we are all one Caroline. And I'm so proud of what they explained to you tonight. And it looks like we're asking for a lot because we need a lot. We employ so many people in this county, over 700 employees full-time. And we need your help. You want to bring in businesses. You say that it's because of the schools. Well, help us change that perception. We're doing everything we can with on-time graduation, having all these classes, getting our internships and scholarships. You need to help us and step up to the plate. I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board chair, co-chair, and members of our board of supervisors. My name is Jessie Rollins, and I am from the Madison District. And I just want to speak to you for a quick minute and give you a census update. Census cards will be arriving soon to the homes of Caroline County. The census website will go live around March 12, 2020. Soon, yard sales and banners and even magnets will be posted throughout the county, letting citizens know that they count. Please share this information on your websites, social media pages, and any meetings you have planned in the community in the next coming months. By working together, citizens will know how important it is to participate in the 2020 census and the federal dollars it brings to Caroline County, and how those dollars will help with schools, roads, medical facilities, first responders, and hopefully our tax rates. Each person counted will bring approximately $2,000 to Caroline County per year, which is over $20,000 over a 10-year period. 50 people miss equals approximately $1 million of federal monies that will not come to Caroline County. Our population, our 2010 census population show a little over 28,000. A few weeks ago, I attended the health assessment meeting, and it shows our population a little over 30. So for rounding purposes, we're going to say that that's a difference of about 2,000 people. If you put that in monetary terms, 2,000 people times $2,000 equal in the neighborhood of about $4 million. Multiply that over 10 years, and that's about $40 million that Caroline County is missing. We need everyone to understand the value of what it means to be counted in 2020 and how that helps us, especially as we get into this process of the budget every year. This is something that everyone can share on their social media pages. We have a lot of positive things and fun and exciting things that our kids are doing. And I'm not a real big Facebook surfer, but every once in a while I do get on outside of just communicating with family. And I would love to see more people share all the wonderful things that are happening with our students at Caroline County Public Schools. And you can simply do that by going to the Caroline County Facebook page and hitting share, because our schools are doing a good job of bragging on the success of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Good evening. My name is Joan Rollins Davis, and Floyd Thomas is my representative. Before I get into this,
I would like to extend my support to Caroline County Public Schools. It is greatly needed, and I hope that the Board of Supervisors do what is necessary to help them. I will be speaking about the comment that was on Facebook. It goes as such: teaching is hard and even harder now with helicopter parenting and absent parents, and even harder when the federal or state government says you can't expel or move someone out of a classroom or school for doing horrible things in school because he may have some sort of disability or additional melatonin in his skin. And I do believe that the melatonin was supposed to be melanin, because melatonin helps you with sleep, whereas the melanin is what gives your skin the pigmentation. The problem that I have with it were the comments were insensitive and clearly out of pocket. I'm not even sure that the Board of Supervisors got it when it was such an uproar, because the comment was not removed, but the correct spelling was then put on that page. And so it came down melatonin and went up melanin, as my shirt says tonight. And my problem with that is that the comment was offensive. It wasn't even the spelling, it was that the comment was offensive, period. And that is the issue. When the social media fingers get the moving in private groups in this area, it is hard to even think that that is not the conversation that's being happening behind closed doors, or that is not a real reflection of how someone thinks. As a Board of Supervisor member and an elected official, we hold every single person up here to a higher standard. So the comments that you would make in your home cannot necessarily be made out in a public forum. It is very disheartening to the parents of children with disabilities. And I did take it offensive when it was addressed as melanin in the skin. And then it was corrected to the correct spelling. And then I just did not feel like that Board of Supervisor got that it was very offensive to people of color. I also noticed that 4 people on the Board of Supervisors mentioned that that comment was not reflective of their ideas. One person stayed silent. That even disheartens me even more, because it makes you feel as a citizen that it may be a shallow apology or an apology that is put out. Me personally, I think that this person needs to resign. I think this person needs some time to sit back and think about what they said and how it affects the people in the community. And if you're going to do something, then vote yes when the school board asks you to do something, if you're so concerned about what's going on in the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you. If you're going to speak, come on down so that we can.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Jordan Rollins-Williams. I'm from the Grady Church District. I'm a Caroline High School student. I'm a junior this year. And I just wanted to reiterate the support for the school system. I love our school system and everything that it's allowed me to do. I'm currently a governor's school student, and next year when I graduate, I'll be getting my associate's degree before I actually graduate high school. And many of the teachers in this room actually have changed my life in ways that I wouldn't have even noticed until now. So I just ask that you support the school board and their budget, because it's not for nothing. Like, it is. They have reasons behind it, and all the students at Caroline would benefit greatly from it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Calvin Taylor. I represent the Fort Royal District on the school board. I was not going to speak because I agree with everything that's been said. Let me just say thank you, because I sat where you sat, and I realize the difficulty in what you do. But there's one thing I know. There's not one person in here who does not want the best quality education for our children. I believe that from the Board of Supervisors, and I know that from the school board. And I felt like if I didn't say something, somebody might leave thinking that I didn't agree with what was said. I don't want to prolong the meeting, but I want you to know that I do appreciate what you do. I do support wholeheartedly the request from the school board, and I know that you're going to do the best that you can to honor that request. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alvin James III. I'm actually a Spotsylvania Bay resident. I've done a little bit of work here in Caroline, just a little, but I won't take credit for a lot of it. First thing I want to say, and I won't be before you long, is I actually read a quote that said, would you rather be at war with the world or at peace with yourself? Or would you rather be at war with yourself and at peace with the world? And pretty much that's, to me, I feel like a lot of us and a lot of leaders, we rather be at war with the world and at peace with ourselves, right? But it doesn't seem that way because I feel like we don't take a lot of things as seriously as we should when it comes to the younger generation that comes after us, leading the way. I feel like as a representative, if I'm working for a company, my job is to, wherever I'm at, I'm representing that particular company, right? So anything that I say, anything that I do is a reflection of that company. And we're all a reflection of our community. So we're looking to, and I'm saying we, because I'm saying the community, we're all looking to do great things and we want to help people and we want better education, and I'm all for better education. But it seems to me that just by coming in and sitting in the things that I've been hearing, that we kind of get in the habit of just sweeping things under the rug without any action being done behind certain things. So I just want to say that I just hope that as a man of integrity, as a man of my word, I hope people do the same. I would hope that if you ever see me out and about, I would hold myself to a higher standard as well as we hold you all to a higher standard. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. My name is Lionel Fortune, and I am a member of the Mackinac District. I did not plan to speak tonight, but my conscience brought me to the podium just to speak upon the controversial Facebook statements that were made that have already been talked about. I do appreciate the carefully crafted apology that was given. However, it felt that the blame regarding the controversy lied with the individuals who read it as opposed to the individual who proffered those comments on Facebook. So I'm rising to speak about this teachable moment that the board has talked about in relation to this particular controversy. As a member of an elected body, the words that you say are powerful, and that in this particular situation, it feels like the public confidence or trust has been damaged. I understand that those comments were made in a public forum or an official meeting of the Board of Supervisors, but nevertheless, it feels that the public trust has, for members of our community, has been damaged. I would encourage the board as a whole, if you're truly concerned about this being a teachable moment, to consider unbiased, unconscious bias, diversity, and inclusion training, if that's something that the board has not engaged in the past, as a way to show the community that the board as a whole is serious about healing some of the damage that may have been caused by this particular controversy. So with that, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Board of County Supervisors, Chairman, how you guys doing this evening? It's been a long time since I've seen you guys. I pray all is well with you. Just wanted to share some statistics around the recent controversy on. Well, I'm not a spouse resident now. I'm sorry, Gary Taylor. Probably former Madison District, I believe. I reside in Spotsylvania, but I'm, as you guys know, I do a lot of work in Carolina, working in the community with the school systems where it involves mental health. Briefly, just wanted to speak about some different statistics that's going on that in regards to the recent controversies that we had over this Facebook comment. Voices of Children for Virginia's Children has put out some data and statistics around the school to prison pipeline. I'm not sure if you are aware of that. And what it's showing, this was from 2015 to 2016, was saying that Virginia schools in 2015-2016 issued over 131,500 out-of-school suspensions to over 70,000 individual students. It looked at students with disabilities were suspended at rates of 2.6 times higher than that of non-disabled students. African American students were suspended at rates between 3.8 times higher than Hispanic and white students. Virginia schools at this point in time continue to suspend very young students at an astonishing rate, issuing over 17,300 short-term suspensions and at least 93 long-term suspensions just to children to pre-K through 3rd grade. I wanted to get that data set out there because the facts of the matter, data is out there to show that there's a disproportionate rate of kids getting suspended from school who have disabilities or who have melanin in their skin. So I caution you guys to look more into this project, and if you have questions, to reach out to your actual Carolina leaders who are part of the NAACP or community leaders to learn more in depth as far as what's going on. And I also do stand in support of the budget for the school system. I'm a Carolina County graduate of high school of 2006. I stand with working with the school systems, and I urge you, in order to sustain a better county, our school systems need to be better as well, so that we can have overall growth in this county. And I don't know if you do know, there's a lot of trauma that sets in this county, and that affects all of us, even if it's not at our front door. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that would wish to speak? Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone else? Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment. We will move to agenda item number 4.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The purpose of this public hearing is to allow public comments on the proposed sale of real property owned by the county as required by section 15.2, 1800B of the Code of Virginia. The property in question consists of approximately 1.97 acres and is located at 29415 Richmond Turnpike, which is Route 301. It is the site of the former Frog Level Volunteer Rescue Squad, and the county came into possession of the property following the disbanding of the former Frog Level Volunteer Rescue Squad and conveyance of the property to the Board of Supervisors. So this is a public hearing to allow public comment on the possible sale of that property.
Any questions, comments from the board before open the public hearing? Hearing none. Public hearing is now open for the possible sale of the former Frog Level Rescue Squad property. Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak? Seeing one, I'm going to close the public hearing. Board members, questions, comments? Mrs. Thomas?
I was just going to say, I would think that we should just sell the
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Before you run that motion, I would recommend, I haven't heard those comments, but I would want to check the state law about whether that's allowed, whether you do sealed bids. So if perhaps you could make that as a comment, but not include it in your motion, to allow it to be sold, however, permitted under state law.
I would have been my motion, so although I will say, just say, prefer it with
Yeah, and if that's allowed, that's fine, but I'd like to be able to confirm it, and if it's not, I want to make sure that we can still move forward with the sealed bid process.
I'll amend my second.
I have a amended motion and amended second. Any further discussion?
Not a related discussion, but we didn't during our public comment. We didn't, and I know each board member feels the same way. We didn't offer our prayers for this department. And we wanted to say that we are with you and we understand your time of loss, that the board cares about you. Thank you so much for being here. So, that was unrelated. Carry on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Agenda item number 5.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the purpose of this public hearing is to consider an amendment to the county code to increase the flat fee charged by the county for reasonable expenses incurred by the sheriff's office or fire and rescue in responding to vehicle accidents that are caused by impaired driving, reckless driving, etc. To recover these expenses, the county can either charge a flat fee or a minute-by-minute accounting of the actual costs incurred. The Code of Virginia now allows an increase in the flat fee from $250 to $350. So that is one of the purposes of this proposed ordinance amendment. In addition, Sheriff Lopez asked that the county incorporate a reference in the state code related to driving a commercial motor vehicle while intoxicated to include that into the county ordinance so that the fees can apply in such instances as well.
Comments or questions from the board before the public hearing?
I just had one, Mr. Park.
Yes.
And I was reading this, it says $350 for a minute-by-minute accounting. Which one would it be?
You have the choice, is my understanding.
So he
I
can
don't know.
decide if it's $350 or minute-by-minute?
That's my understanding, yes.
So there's no, like, whichever one's lower or whichever one's higher, provision?
I think that is up to the department or sheriff's office to decide which.
The way I read it was depending on how you wanted to, did you want to do accounting for minute by minute? Because you gotta be able to prove costs if you do minute by minute.
Right.
Right, and I understand that, but I'm just trying to see for consistency. If I have one accident, I'm charging minute-by-minute, and the other one I charge $350, does that put us on the hook or anything? As far as, going in a different direction for one person as opposed to another?
This is the board's decision, not the sheriff's decision.
We're amending the county code.
Yeah, that's a number.
I mean, we're amending the county code, so it's our decision. If you want to make whichever one's higher.
You're talking about DUI accident.
Yeah, so.
They got a formula on that, probably at least the cost of $10,000. No, I understand that, I'm just saying, like, just for consistency purposes, that's all I'm trying to say.
That was more of a slight from our
Yes.
recent comments from our citizens. They're gonna put you.
I don't know whether the chief is involved, Mark, I think to cover some of this stuff too, if they're working with something on a DUI, y'all just charge a flat rate, you have an answer to that, chief, while you're moving it out. That's one of the clarifications down there.
Right now, the only thing we use cost recovery for on the fire side is hazmat, and it's a direct cost of what we outlay. Although DWI potentially could have a cost for us, generally, we don't have it's basically an accident, there's extrication. So if we would look at the time, probably for us would be the biggest way to bill that, the easiest way to build it. to that person. So the sheriff's office, I would imagine, has a greater amount of cost in that for the accident, the reconstruction, and all the things that occur after the fact versus us getting the patient out and getting him to the hospital.
Does the sheriff do that, or the state police do reconstructions? State police? So it's really
It kind of depends. On the interstates, the state police, without a doubt.
We can always add that, sure. Whichever is higher, or whichever you can prove a cost, you gotta prove a cost.
I thought the only language we're changing in this was 250 to 350.
It is.
That's the only language we're changing in what we already have. So we have 250 for minute by minute in the language now. So we're changing that to 350. So the 4 minutes by minute. No, we have 250 per minute by minute now. So we're only amending the word to 3 to 2 to 3. That's only wording in the whole ordinance that changes. 250 to 350. So it's a minute by minute. It's 250 minute by minute now. And then we move this to 350 minute by minute.
Right.
I can maybe a little bit more background on the statute reference in there that prior to this. It's one of those discretionary statutes that says the county adopts an ordinance to do these things. So what you have in the ordinance that takes advantage of that discretion. The statute, which is 15.2-1716, reads that the county may provide by ordinance that the person convicted of violating any of the following provisions, which we don't do this in the package, shall be liable to the locality for any responding volunteer, fire company, or department volunteer, for restitution of reasonable expenses. And it goes on to say, personal liability under the section for reasonable expenses of an appropriate emergency response or suicide stage, but I see the value in aggregate, and determining reasonable expenses, so the locality may bill a flat fee of $350 an hour, and that's the change to the code, or minute by minute accounting of the actual cost incurred. So the statute just lets the county make that decision about whether they can go 350 or minute by minute, up to 1,000 on a case-by-case basis. And the way your ordinance is written is to just give you as much discretion as possible.
I'm gonna open the public hearing. Public hearing for, I just lost my page. Public hearing for proposed amendments to chapter 15, article 3, sections 15-20 Code of Carolina County reimbursement of expenses incurred in responding to DUI incidences and other traffic incidences. Anyone wishing to speak on this public hearing? Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak? Last call. Public hearing is closed. Any further discussion?
Mr. Stewart, was the code 46-2-341.24 advertised? Did we add that? Was that part of the topic?
I actually had that underlined because I had a tough time finding it and wondered the same thing. Was that advertised, Mr. Mark?
Was what advertised, I'm sorry?
46.2-41.24 being added?
Yes.
Okay. I'll take a motion if there's no further discussion.
I move that we amend chapter 15, article 3, 15-20 of the Code of Carolina, reimbursement expenses incurred for responding to DUI incidents and other traffic incidents.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Second. A motion?
And the additional code is part of that motion?
Yes, because it was advertised.
Second.
I have a motion to second, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Check item number 6. Mr. Parker, Pop.
So the last of what I call the kitchen sink ordinance amendments. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the Code of Virginia allows localities to impose a local sales tax of 1% in conjunction with the sales tax levied by the Commonwealth of Virginia. And as you know, the state has been collecting and remitting to Caroline County its 1% share of the sales tax for many decades, as it has for, I believe, all other localities in Virginia. However, it was recently discovered that the online version of the county code does not contain the local ordinance declaring the county's intent to collect the local sales tax. Staff believes that a previous board very likely adopted this decades ago, but it simply wasn't included in the online version for some reason. And rather than go back and do all the research to try to figure out when that may have been adopted, we believe, after consulting with the county attorney, that the best thing to do is just adopt the actual ordinance that is proposed in your packet. Again, I want to stress that the ordinance before you simply codifies what is already in place. It does not create a new tax. It does not increase an existing tax. It simply codifies what is already in place.
Questions before I open the public hearing?
Mr. Partner, before you go,
Yes, sir.
are we saying that the county has been missing its return of online tax from the state?
I would like to be able to say that, but no.
Okay.
We've been getting it, we just don't, we have the ordinances missing.
That's all I wanted to make sure.
Yes, sir.
And nobody else is being charged anymore with this, so.
It's just putting a piece of code where we're missing one because we're already collecting. I'm gonna open the public hearing on the proposed amendment of chapter 103 of the code, of the county code taxation and local sales tax language that's missing currently. Public hearing is now open. Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak? Hearing none, public hearing is closed. Any additional comments from board members? Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt chapter 103 regarding taxation of the Carolina Code, adding article 18 regarding retail sales tax.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Motion is second, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? I say the motion carries. Agenda item number 7.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Your fourth public hearing tonight is for an ordinance to amend 93-1, schedule of the sewer and water fees. In 2000, the county entered into an agreement with the town of Bowling Green to accept and treat up to 45,000 gallons of wastewater. In 2001, the county began construction of 2 sewer pump stations and 11,850 feet of 4-inch sewer force main to convey sewage from the Bowling Green Elementary School and the Bowling Green Primary School to Bowling Green. In 2005, the Brookwood subdivision was approved to construct 203 new homes wherein the sewer would be conveyed through the county's wastewater conveyance system and discharged into the town of Bowling Green's wastewater plant for treatment. From the inception of that project, it was determined that the long-term solution for the wastewater treatment was to pump it to the county's regional wastewater treatment plant. As such, an availability fee has been proposed in the amount of $11,600 for each new residential connections to the Milford sewer system. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions the board may have.
Questions or comments before the public hearing? Hearing none, I now open the public hearing for proposed amendment to chapter 93-1 of the Code of Caroline County Schedule of Water and Sewer Fee. And this is for Milford, correct? Just Milford. Okay, just the Milford system. Public hearing is now open. Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak? Last call. Anyone wishing to speak? Hearing none? Public hearing is now closed.
Move to adopt the schedule.
I've got a motion, what, a second? I have a motion to second, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? I say the motion carries. Agenda item number 8. I do believe that is, she's right there. Wendy, Mrs. Sneak is here from Social Services. Okay, we are back with, I believe, an update on the actual policy for being able to provide auto repairs and gas cards, I believe.
Yes, several different types of transportation assistance that we proposed and provided for our discussion the last 2 meetings ago, when I was here, provided 2 options. One that would provide assistance for those who are either employed or in education or training leading to employment. And the second option being for those simply who meet the income guidelines.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
May I ask you a question? Because I read this, I mean, because you're the expert on this, what do you recommend, I mean, option, from your point of view, option 1 or option 2?
I think that really depends on what audience you're trying to reach by providing the funds. I know you're asking me the question, but you know, our experience has been in providing this type of assistance to those who are in our employment services program.
So that'd be option 1.
So we're more accustomed to those who meet more of the qualifications of option 1, but I wanted to provide a different option depending on what audience you wanted to reach. Of course.
I want to make sure I correctly understand what we're trying to do. Your program would really work for the people who are not employed or getting some sort of assistance from you already, right?
Not necessarily. You wouldn't need to, a citizen wouldn't have to pre-qualify by being part of one of our programs. And in fact, we want to make sure that they're not eligible for the VIEW program through TANF or the limited assistance that the state is now providing for SNAP recipients. It only applies to a very narrow population of the SNAP recipients. So we're not talking about a lot of people. So we're really trying to reach the people that aren't part of that, and they may very likely not be receiving any assistance from us.
Okay, and I kind of understand what Mr. Black is trying to do, and we lost Fred or didn't fund Fred for their, whatever reason. And I'm concerned about the people that I saw who were taking Fred, who may have been working for, or may have been people who were trying to move a little higher up towards, middle class or whatever.
Sure.
Are we going to be able to take care of those kind of people with this program?
My vision of this program would be to help those individuals who can drive or can maintain some sort of transportation but have a barrier that we can help them overcome. I don't believe it would be something that would help someone who is incapable, who has limitations that keep them from driving at all, or can't provide any transportation for themselves. I don't see it as a maintenance program where we're helping someone all the time. I see it as more one-time assistance or once-a-year assistance to help someone to overcome a barrier and then move on to be able to get where they need to go.
And that may really be where we are, is without Fred, we have so many different things we need to fix. This may be one of those we need to fix. This is not necessarily going to fix the guy that I used to see at the gas station back here every day on his way to Carmel Church to work.
Right. Depending on why he was there.
Well, he didn't have a car, so not having a car, he rode the bus for $1, and this program is not going to be able to help him or the guy you see at Subway who's doing the
Well,
same
I
thing.
don't know if he's able to drive. It can help him, because part of this program is if you find a cheap car that runs, we'll help you get it. Because that's what we do through our VIEW program, so it's the exact same thing I'm proposing with this.
Okay. I mean, it solves a portion of the greater need that we have.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
know it's not much, but we could try. I do want to just mention, and I was going to do it in closing comments, but I have spoken to Lee Anderson at GWRC, who does the commuter beds, that type of thing, about the issue. And she's running through a couple of ideas. I just today got a date from her, having talked to staff about seeing what some of her ideas for rural fill gap transportation might be. So maybe we do this now to fit this slot, and we work on something to fit the bigger slot with them. So I would leave it for option two.
Mr. Underwood?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking at option one, the reality is we need to address both issues for those who are eligible. And
So, as what I would say is option two would include everyone who's in option one. It just opens it up wider. It doesn't have the worker education and training requirement. It just sets an income standard.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does.
Any other comments, questions? Black and white, no stop.
Yeah, no, I was going to make a motion.
Always in order?
I will compromise this line, I'll go ahead and make a motion, that we approve option two.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second, any further discussion? One of the things I will say is that the social services board hasn't looked at this yet. So we have to figure out how we're gonna actually implement this. So that'll be a discussion at our board meeting next week. Just a data point for everybody here. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? I said motion carries, thank you. Number 9 doesn't require any action, I understand, as long as there's no issues.
Correct.
So it was on the agenda, there's nobody here to comment against it. We can just move on, Mr. Bishop.
Yes, sir.
So agenda item number 9 has come and gone. Agenda item number 10.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, next item is the follow-up from the January 14th meeting concerning candidate projects for this round of the smart scale transportation process. Staff talked to representatives of VDOT as well as other interested stakeholders. We've identified a couple of potential projects for the consideration of the board related to potential county smart scale projects. I would remind the board that the town of Bowling Green has been working with GWRC on 1 or 2 potential projects as well. Ms. Linda Millsaps, who's the executive director of GWRC, is here this evening. In case you have any questions on what the GWRC and the town have been working on, my suggestion to the board would be any spaces that we don't use, we're allowed up to 4 applications that we can allocate to town for any projects they want. And finally, there's a brief discussion. There was some discussion, I guess, initiated by King George County concerning a possible joint application with King George for improvements based on the Route 207-301 corridor study. I've not talked to anybody in King George about their requests, but it seems to me that if we're looking at a true regional discussion, that the 2 towns would need to be included as part of that process as well. It's just my thoughts, my suggestions related to potential projects. With that, I'll address any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop. Mrs. Long, have you talked with anybody from King George, Mr. Black, about any joint project? I mean, I see some of those folks, and they never mentioned it to me, so.
Minister, since the new members come on, we already have one meeting, so, and there, there hasn't really been any conversation. But I'm aware that Ms. Millsap's here, so she can, I know they had a meeting today, but, things were not passed through us, that it was not the best they understand, we don't.
Wasn't this part of when they talked about creating an MPO for us? That was, I remember that was the original part of the discussion a while back. Creating as in FAMPO, we don't vote for part of it, we don't vote for King George part of it, they don't vote. We need at least three, so we're talking about adding four for the whole three. So maybe that was the original discussion that they had to follow up on.
What was the original discussion today?
Yeah, that's right. And sorry about my low shoes. I have an injury, so I have to wear flat shoes. So sorry. You should see the little. I'm Linda Millsaps with the George Washington Regional Commission. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, when we started the Smart Scale process at GWRC and FAMPO, one of the ideas that was brought forward, actually at the suggestion of some folks from VDOT who had looked at all of the work that's been done over the years, and suggested there might be an opportunity for King George and Caroline to submit a single application related to crossovers recommended through, I believe it was a STAR study, around 301. And at that time, we were discussing maybe 10 to 12 crossovers combined between the two jurisdictions. And the thought was, if there was interest on you all's part and King George's part in doing that, we would help facilitate that, and the thought was also that that would likely score a little better if it included both jurisdictions. So there has been some email back and forth, and I've been trying to corral not just the two sets of CAOs, but also the other jurisdictions at GWRC around their smart scale proposals, because those regional ones run through our office. So we had tried to schedule some earlier meetings, ended up settling on today. And so we met with King George and VDOT today. Unfortunately, the folks from your staff were unable to join us. And so we've so far moved ahead with the King George one, but if you all have interest in trying to add on to that, we could maybe do that, but we would have to do it very quickly. Because as you probably heard Lynn mention to you, VDOT's looking at about 50 applications in this residency. And so they're a limit to help out. They're limited in their ability to help out. We're a little limited, but we want to bring this to you one last time to see if that's something you want to pursue.
One of the things I can guarantee, and I think I would be unanimous support, is closing our crossovers is not going to happen. I know that has been a big topic of discussion since the 301, 207 corridor study. That was one of the main interests was to actually eliminate those. And I will tell you that eliminating those is not something anybody's interested in, for the repercussions of you give up something and what you get back would not be a benefit. So I'm not sure where King George is in that, and I drive through to King George every day. My guess is they're probably scratching their heads of whether they're willing to give up any crossovers either. Just because, and I'll tell you from the school bus perspective of how they use those crossovers, a school bus doesn't have more than 2 pickups on Route 301, and they make the pickup and they get to that left lane and they make a turn that crossover over to a crossroad so that they're not on 301, so that you don't end up with a miles worth of traffic behind school buses, which has been a real problem. So from that perspective, I don't know what they talked about doing, and it would have been fair to say Mr. Colley or Mr. Finchman that, we haven't even discussed that. We do have a couple of projects, well, 3 in particular in the board packet, and asked for them. I'm sure everybody's looked at those. Well, both of these, most of these are probably Mr. Tom. The one of these is down off of
Nelson Hill is Madison 639 is Madison 9. Oh, yeah, the park is Madison 9 too.
Correct, they're all. And the 639 project, I will tell you, having go that way quite often, is probably the one that is, to me, the highest safety issue going. People miss that stop sign. I have witnessed it a couple of times in the dark, that even though the lines in the road and there's the stop sign ahead, I watched people actually completely miss the stop sign and get across 207 to the crossover before they realize where they are. So,
If we were prioritizing, that would be one. Nelson Hill Road would be two, because there's some fatality there, and the third would be a walking trail in the park.
Well, and the thing, Mr. Fincham, though, is a couple of years ago, one of the things we need to look at, and I agree with you 100%, because that's where I've got a number, 1, 2, 3. A couple of years ago, we had helped figure out how well it was going. You know, in other words, like what the thought and so forth. I mean, one of the things that we had been lucky the first 2 years of Smart Scale to put like basically a lot of the other localities were having the shotgun approach. We're just gonna throw stuff against the wall, see what sticks. And where Caroline used the laser approach, we're gonna go for one project and we're gonna put all in our eggs in this one basket. And it worked for us the first 2 years of Smart Scale. I mean, it was the first 2 applications that we put in. It didn't work for us on the one down in 207 last year, Carmel Church. Yeah.
That was kind of a beat up proposal.
But I think one of the things that we need to look at is which one of these, and I agree that's number one, but, we're not the ones who rate this. I mean, and that becomes an issue too. Like, I mean, let's put in something that's, let's put in a project that we have a realistic shot of getting. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm very uncomfortable with the King George thing, just because of the fact that I understand the regional approach, but regional approach 2 days before it's due, or 3 days before it's due, I have a hard time getting into that. So I guess, for me, do we know on these, because these are due coming up, these are due coming up like real soon, right?
My discussions with VDOT staff indicated that they thought the pedestrian improvements would score fairly well, given the school traffic and,
So number 3 over number 1, what we would see is, number 1 for me, I got it was the 639.
I think 639 would
And
be.
207, having witnessed several times.
Yeah.
Cars just absolutely not realizing they had started.
But at the same time, with Smart Scale, I think Fredericksburg got bike pass last year, didn't they? Or they got trails or something in Fredericksburg.
The road is funding, yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have intersections that are dangerous when you have bike, I mean, not us, wonderful for that. But you have intersections around that are not getting funded, and then we've got a bike path in Fredericksburg to take funding.
Lynn, do you have any insight into, could we get by with safety at 639 and 207? Is there enough info on that to actually get us a scoring high enough in safety for that?
So the scoring is a multi-pronged approach.
Right.
And so part of that is also the amount of money. I'm not sure at this point how much the county is planning to put any money towards these. You do get an increased score if you're willing to bring that cost down overall. But the way Smart Scale's been running the past cycle was that the lower cost projects have scored higher. So that's why we brought the pedestrian access, because it's a fairly low cost project that has pedestrian implications that does score well in Smart Scale right now. And I'm sure Dr. Millsaps could definitely speak to this more as well. But it is just there's a multi-pronged approach. It's very complicated. It has a lot of different aspects that help weight projects higher and lower, but there is this return on investment aspect as far as what the county or what the municipality is going to put forward to help buy that cost down across the state of Indiana.
One of our dilemmas right now is we've got Smart Scale project on 639 between Route 1 and 95, and we've got to come up with 6.2 or 3 million between, we've got to finish paying for that. A little over 2 million between now and next May. So funding a project for us right now is a little on the difficult side, to say the least.
Let's just go with the 60. That's a realistic one.
And just
Let
go
me
up.
ask you a question, why can't you put in a public?
5 pre-applications that you can put in as the county. And so as of March 1st, when the actual, so when that opens, you have 5 applications you could put in. And then 4 full applications will be submitted.
Mr. Fincher, can we get all 3 of these in?
That's what he recommended.
Yes, sir.
I think the consensus on here, rather than belabor this, let's go with all 3.
Mr. Finch, if there's any data, should we get on the intersection doing the accidents on that, do it, I mean, that's really probably the most important one.
Yeah.
Yes, that data collection will be part of the process.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve? Second. All in favor of agenda item number 10, all 3 options? Aye.
Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, are you going to allow Bowling Green to utilize the?
Well, we only have 3, so I don't think there's any issue with them using 2. We're doing all 3 of ours. Yeah, we'll give them the option of the other 2.
Okay.
So you're all set?
So, as follow-up for that, we would also request from Caroline County, since you would be submitting on behalf of the town of Bowling Green, if we could get some sort of correspondence about which 2 projects you want us to proceed with the town by Friday.
They should be able to tell us which 2.
Right, but because Caroline County is the submitting authority, we would ask them to come from you all and have that direction provided to us.
Mr. Cully, can you talk with the town manager?
So the 2 that we have are Broadus, and then 301 and Chase Street, but we just want to make sure that that's.
Are they going to close Broadus? Oh, no, Broadus is actually adding a lane. That's the main one. We'll find out from the town what they are.
So, I mean, if that's just a letter from you, Mr. Cully, that's fine. We just ask that we get formal notification so we can proceed.
Because they all have to come from the county.
Correct.
Now, I'm willing to trade one of my crossovers on 207 for some more lane miles on Golden Shore Road. Does that work?
You know,
I don't think that project would score well in,
I would trade 2 crossovers on 207 for more lane miles on Golden Shore Road.
I'll take them out of this. People with crossovers are a big deal. Are we good?
Yes.
Thank you both for being here tonight. Keep forgetting you on the agenda later. You're doing a lot more time. So thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
3 crossovers.
Could we have him make it all?
No, that's the last one.
Agenda item number 11. And I do believe this is Mr. Underwood's.
Board members, I wanted to update you on an issue that was brought before this board on September 19th, where a letter was sent before the 6 board members making false allegations against myself, which I've been filed suit in court of Caroline County, and we reached a settlement. And one of the conditions of the settlement was that an apology letter be issued. At this time, I'd like to read that letter to the board. The letter comes from Ms. Tammy Giles, who lives in Ruther Glen, to Reginald L. Underwood, also from Ruther Glen. The letter reads as follows: Dear Mr. Underwood, I want to express my sincere apology to you for this letter I sent to members of the Caroline County Board of Supervisors September 2019, which suggested and implied that you engaged in improper conduct. I wrote that letter without any proof and without any justifiable reason to believe that you had sought or received free or discounted work from an employee of Caroline County. I know that you did nothing of the sort. I acknowledge and understand that the allegations and inferences in my letter were misleading and not based on any facts. I also recognize that my letter calls county officials and employees to investigate my false allegations and calls the board supervisors to devote time and attention to my unfounded accusations. I apologize for taking their time and for necessitating the use of the county resources as a result of my lapse of judgment. Again, my sincere apology for my actions. Sincerely, Tammy Giles.
want to say that for me, and I accept her apology, but words do matter. And probably one of the most argumentative persons on this board, I think, is myself. Yes. But I'm not going to disparage or make false accusations regarding anyone. And I don't tolerate it. I do not tolerate it. We can agree to disagree. But I will not be defamed in any way whatsoever by anyone. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have to say regarding this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Rucker. Agenda item number 12, the results of request for proposal for financing. Oh, Ethan's here.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. How are you all?
Before we get started, I gotta explain to the rest of the board some of what happened in this. Y'all authorized us to seek financing on the CAD records management system and generators on a number of buildings. While we were out with that, and since the last meeting, Mr. Shebel's track loader at the landfill died. It's in 1994. It's been extensively rebuilt over the years. So the repairs were in the $20,000 range with no guarantees. So we weren't sure we might be into the $40,000 range for repairing a 1994 track loader that we do use 6 days a week on the brush pile that we maintain at the landfill. So while it's not used in moving dirt in closed landfill operation, it is used every day except I think Sunday, but I only had that day off. It's used 6 days a week. So we did ask Davenport to see if the banks would add that in on a 7-year note, and they have included that. So we do have this 2 ways: one, the way you approved, and one, that you would graciously allow us to add in the financing for this loader. We have, in the past, when it's broken down, tried to use a rubber tire backhoe tractor. It does not work well. It does need a track machine, one with some size to it. We're buying a smaller unit if you allow us to, because what's currently out there, but still that is about $240,000 steel price of steel. But in the fact that this one has been there since 1994, none of us will be buying one of those anytime soon. And it was run really hard when the landfill was in operation, and not run as hard now is why it has lasted as long as it has. The joy to pay how many hours on it is a bazillion. 12,000 some odd hours on this machine. So we would request it at all. We do have really good financing rates, and probably our repair building would pay the debt service at least 2 years of the 7 on it. And obviously, if we were to fix it, I'm not guaranteeing we won't be back asking for additional money for the transmission and other things. Because what's worn out, they know until they pull it apart, they don't know why it wore out. What's further in transmission that caused it to have a problem. Anyway, that's all I have on that. Sorry about needing to fill in on that, because if you started on that, y'all would know.
That's not good. That's just not good.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for your time this evening. As Charlie mentioned, I will be presenting the results of the request for proposals process for the county's equipment lease financing. If you turn to the second page here, as well as the third page, we just have a quick market update for you. As you can see in these 2 charts, the interest rates are currently still at historic lows. You see there on this page the 20-year tax-exempt yield curve over the last 20 years, as well as since 2016. As you can see, we're still in the down slope, which is very good and is a contributing factor to the very strong rates the county saw this evening. This page here, page number 3, presents more of the same. It charts the current yield curve, and then the bar chart along the bottom shows the percentage of days since 2000 that interest rates have been lower than the current levels. And as you can see, out from about year 6 all the way through year 30, they're nearly as low as they've ever been. So going on to this page, just an overview. As Mr. Kelly mentioned, on the 23rd, we distributed a request for proposals for the original project, which was the records management system and computer-aided dispatch system for the sheriff's office, as well as the emergency generator backup system for a total project cost of a little bit over $800,000. We requested rates for both 5 and 7-year amortization terms, provides the county some flexibility in their choice on what they would like to finance the project over. Moving on to the next page, you'll see here that we got 8 very strong proposals. We've highlighted here the JP Morgan rate of 1.835%. You'll see that it is about 9.5 basis points higher than plus accrued interest. The amortization term of 7 years we've highlighted in our conversations with staff. We understand that that is most closely matches the useful life of the equipment that will be acquired here. So the 7-year rate is the one that we are showing. It is subject to final credit approval. They're in that process right now, but we don't expect any issues from them from that perspective. And they've given us a closing deadline of February 25th, which is well within our expectation of when we'll be able to get that finalized. Moving here on to the next page, this is just an estimated debt service schedule for $860,000, which includes the original project of the generators, as well as the record management system and computer-aided dispatch system, as well as issuance costs. You can see here over the 7-year term, it's about $130,000 for total debt service costs of about $915,000 over the life of the loan. Continuing here onto the next page, we have highlighted what the additional debt service costs would be if the board chose to include the cat loader in this. As you can see, it's about $36,000 annually, and if you add that amount on top of the other projects as well as the issuance cost, your total annual debt service would be about $167,000 or $1.1 million over the life of the loan. And this is all run still at that 1.835% rate, which JP Morgan offered the county.
The CAD system is also at 7 years?
Yes.
Everything is on a 7-year schedule.
That is correct. Just going here to our recommendation, just sort of as a recap of what we've already said, JP Morgan proposal offered the lowest rate for the 7-year amortization option. The interest rate that they offered is fixed until final maturity, which eliminates future interest rate risk that would be associated with the non-fixed rate. The rate is fixed between now and closing, so no risk between now and the 25th of that shifting at all, as long as we close by that date. And then the 7-year amortization option, like I said, closely matches the useful life of the asset. Prepayment, JP Morgan permits for prepayment after 1 year with no penalty, and they have not included any JP Morgan bank-related closing costs on their end in their bid. So with that, balance of February, if you all adopted the resolution authorizing us to move forward.
The 200,000 is in here on page 7?
Correct. Yes, the 240,000. That is the debt service, the additional debt service on that cat loader, and then the aggregate debt service is off to the right, which would encompass the whole project.
So that would be, the debt service would be 167
All total.
a year for 7 years. I mean, the luck, good luck or bad luck, you know, we were in the middle of doing this and the interest rates low. It's a piece of equipment, we're not going to be able to look that up. Do we have a motion to make, to actually, what motion do we actually need to do?
If you look, what I've got here is a resolution. I've got 8 copies. You adopt this resolution. I brought one with the cat loader and without. I'm going to distribute the one with the cat loader. So it shows the addition of the cat loader and the increase to 1.1. Okay, I've got 8 copies here. But what you'll need to do, if you want to authorize this, is adopt this resolution for your defense tonight. Right. This is the resolution. This was sent before, but this is the resolution just so you can have it in your hand now. message that you guys were getting? With this system in place, the sheriff's office personnel will no longer have to re-enter data from handwritten summons. Who's doing that right now?
Our records management girls,
So you're saying this is a savings?
saying they don't have to
You're
re-enter
saying
the
this is a
data.
savings, right?
It certainly causes them not to re-enter the data. Yeah, very much so, yeah. They have other jobs like to back up the record system to some other type of system so that we can store it efficiently because we're running out of room now.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate it.
Anybody want to make a motion? Mr. Black? We need to accept this resolution with the finance, adopt this resolution for financing for the record management system and the loader and the generators.
All right, I move that the, adopt a resolution of the Carrollton County Improvement Equipment Lease Financing, JP Moore Offshore Capital.
What's the?
For the CAT system and the generator.
The generator. Where do you see, I
In the
don't
amount
see
of
the,
$1 million.
$1 million.
In the amount of $1 million.
Yeah. I have a motion, do I have a second? I have a motion, a second, any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, ayes have, motion carried, your success.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time this evening.
And Mr. Shebel, you now will be the owner of something new and getting rid of something very old. Agenda item number 13. If you want to, you can probably go drive it. Mr. Shebel, can Mrs. Long come drive that when it comes over?
I'm thinking, yeah, drive the old first. Yeah, let's work our way up.
Mr. Fiction.
I won't be there for that, Mr. Seeley.
You sure?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, your next agenda item is, I guess, a couple of follow-up items for consideration from your Belmont West proffer amendment. The applicant is proceeding forward with their VHDA application for the first phase of their project. There are two items in the application process that the applicant is requesting board's attention. Item number one is the designation of the property as a revitalization area. The standards for what qualifies as a revitalization area are included in your staff report, and I took the liberty of crossing out the first item, which obviously the property does not meet that condition.
Mr. Fiction, in my reading of this, I don't see how it meets the second condition.
Okay, well
It's a barren piece of property with a housing development around it and an industrial park that's thriving near it.
Okay.
The way I read this was to revitalize would have to actually encumber some other piece of something that would be removed, is how I read this. I just don't, if you can get us there.
Mr. Chairman, that's fine. The request is for board action. It's a board decision as to whether the board believes that it meets the definition of a revitalization area or not.
Did you or Mr. Wilson forward this with a recommendation with the act?
No, sir. There's no recommendation. It's just the requested items from the applicant. Yes, sir. And he's here tonight to address these two items for the board if you have any questions.
What's the staff recommendation?
We've not prepared one at this time.
What's your personal opinion?
We did visit, staff and at least one board member visited a couple of sites, and one site related to this issue actually was a vacant piece of property, and that governing body, as part of the application, adopted the resolution designating that
property as such.
Mr. Wilson? Mr. Floyd, you have?
Is there recourse for labeling something that's, is there an official definition in the VHDA or in the Code of Virginia or anything regarding this?
The definition in the Code of Virginia is what I included in the staff and the report before, and that's what we have to go by.
And this is consistent with what the expectations of the VHDA definition would be? I mean, VHDA, or I'm sorry, USDA being a national program, and state code being a.
I did not poll USDA in terms of what they specifically accepted. I can only tell you one of the sites I visited was a vacant piece of property in another locality that successfully had a VHGA LIHTC application.
So what's the financial risk or the financial loss by giving them a tax abatement? Does anybody know?
It relates to the application for the LIHTC program.
It gets bonus points.
It gives bonus points, and each project is evaluated based upon meeting the points within the application process. So obviously the highest point garnering applications get the funding for those projects.
Mr. Wilson, do you have an opinion?
It was more comfortable in that seat.
No doubt, but I'm sitting in this one, and
Yes, sir.
you're in that one, and you get to have an opinion.
Indeed. Thank you, sir. It's been, I confess, quite some time since I read the definition the governing agency has for this. It seemed to me at the time a bit of a stretch. However, I think what we're talking about is the will of the board. If you want to see this project move forward, this would help them. Frankly, if it was too much of a stretch, I think the governing agency reviewing this would make their own determination to make it work.
Let me ask you a tougher question. When you start doing revitalization, we're getting ready to go into reassessment. What will this do to our composite index when they start seeing revitalization of property? Since that's a battle that we're gonna fight nonstop from here on out. And that's one of the things that bothers me about actually saying this, is that we're actually talking about, like, we're actually ripping out something to make it better.
Ripping up trees.
Yeah, they'll look at that.
We're
We're gonna increase.
lost about composite for 2 years.
Does the applicant have anything checks?
Well, the tax abatement thing says defer. Doesn't actually say I'm letting you not pay your taxes. It says defer.
Mr. Finch?
The tax abatement is actually the second issue. Which the request or the tax abatement under the program is a 2-year abatement, which basically begins when the construction of the project is initiated, and it continues for a 2-year period thereafter. And the per Mr. Weller, the actual request is not for 100% abatement of taxes, but up to a 50% abatement of those taxes. And he has prepared cost estimates of what that would be.
Those weren't in our board pack.
No, sir, I just got those this afternoon. It is.
And again, this application is due next month.
Yes, sir. And with respect to the abatement, you'd actually have to have a public hearing to abate those taxes. So that would have to come back to the board in the form of a public hearing at your March 11th meeting. From staff's perspective, it did not make sense to advertise a public hearing on an item
said the rural county, this piece of property will pay us for revitalization, which having someone tell us that would make me feel a lot better than us guessing. That actually will get more points on his application, correct? That's the higher.
Yes, I believe that was a 15-point total. Yes, that's a 15-point total. And the tax abatement was 5-point total.
Just that they could be the way the points, that's what's going to get the grant.
I mean, if I may weigh in, Mr. Stewart. Mr. Black? I mean, we approved this project for public hearing, and the idea behind this project, I would imagine, would be to bring in the housing for new teachers, firefighters, police, people that are maybe starting out their careers in those professions. And since we approved the project, I mean, I think we were saying that we want this in the county. I think we have to do anything to help them out now that we've approved it. Because we have literally, when we look at it, we don't have a lot here in Caroline for that population. And we're losing that population to surrounding jurisdictions. I mean, the young teacher, the young firefighter, they go to small cities, they live in other jurisdictions. Rather than, because they don't want to buy a house right away, they want an apartment. So, I mean, we have to do what we can to help the.
Give us the dollar 30-second elevator pitch. Mr. Foreman, Mr. Fenton, I'm looking at the definition where the first half's mark here.
Yes, sir.
And I can see us, if there's industrial, commercial, or other economic development in the area, to benefit, such very lax housing needs, I think we fit in that category, especially with the large facilities that are going right next to it. That part of it, I really don't have the issue with. Again, the revitalization is, I guess, my internal definition doesn't seem to fit it, but it seems to fit what's in bold print here to some degree.
That's the options that I think DHCD gives you to categorize a project into one of those areas or the other, one or the other.
But this is their definition, not ours.
That's their definition, yes, sir.
When I say they, I mean USDA.
Yes.
Yeah. Can we give us the 1 more 30 seconds to convince me, please?
Supervisor Thomas, did you have a specific question or?
No, I was saying, can you convince me to do this in 30 seconds?
I do not have the HUD language in front of me. My reading of it was that that the site does meet the criteria. I haven't looked at it today, but the last time I looked at it a few weeks ago, I didn't have any question in my mind. I'm an attorney and I'm a housing attorney, but I didn't see any question about it. What I did focus on today was answering questions about a tax abatement and the figures involved there. If you want me to get into that, I can certainly get into those figures. I made them as straightforward as I possibly could, kind of in a waterfall fashion. And I can go through that calculation by calculation. But to sum it up, over 2 years, my estimate of the abatement, if it were fully calculated out, is $120,000. But it doesn't, VHDA does not require that the entire amount of the abatement be fulfilled by the county. So what we, try to reach is this significance
threshold of about 50% of that. So what we're requesting is that the abatement be capped at $30,000 per year, or a total of $60,000, which would be about 50% of the otherwise totally calculated abatement of $120,000. Here again, this is a 2-year abatement, beginning with approximately groundbreaking and running through both construction and lease-up until the project is essentially stabilized. And Jan Server and Supervisor Thomas, I know you've heard me talk about her, who is working with me on the project, she continues to emphasize this is not hardly at all about the cost savings to the project, but it's almost entirely about the points. And that particular tax abatement only gets 5 points, but as Ms. Server has told me in the past, she has lost the project by 1/10 of a point. So every point is vital in this very competitive process.
You just said you were made aware of this 3 weeks ago or something like that?
Which
you were discussing this 3 weeks ago, or you did something? You said 3 weeks ago you planned.
Well, no, these issues, these 2 requests I brought up many, many months ago. In fact, those were part of my original request. And those have been part of your board packets going back many, many months.
June 11th. Mr. Waller did bring these up at the June 11th board meeting.
When the project first came.
When the project first came to the board, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Mr. Gordon?
I think estimating a unit assessment for $120,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment seems really high.
The assessed value?
The assessed value.
Well, I set the assessed value at what current construction costs are. And so that is,
When I'm going to buy an apartment building, I'm paying more than $55,000 per 2-bedroom unit. I'm not buying it.
but I can tell you that cap rates on apartments have fallen sub-6 and sometimes sub-5. Cobblestone, a project I was at one time involved with, recently traded for almost $200,000. The last trade was $195,000 per unit.
Okay.
So apartments,
I got to recalibrate.
yeah, it's eye-popping what the numbers are these days.
Okay.
Now, here again, this is a tax credit project. It's slightly different, but I think the $120,000 figure is probably pretty darn accurate.
Mr. Waller,
Yes, sir.
I may or may not agree with this project, or this particular part of the project, but the potential of having a place where our new teachers could be, our new firefighter EMS people, our new sheriff deputies could be, people that may not be able to afford a home or normal rent, that have an opportunity to be here. And I think, which is kind of dangerous, but I think that this will give us a better project if we go with this. I'm going to make a motion that we move forward with your request to grant the temporary tax exemption and the designation of a revitalization area. So that's my motion.
Second. I didn't think we could do the tax exemption without a public hearing.
Well, we have to go back to that stage of the public hearing.
Okay, to move forward.
To move forward.
Public hearing, right, and to approve the revitalization label.
Right.
So what is the motion, Mr. Chairman?
The motion will be to move forward with the temporary tax exemption, which means a public hearing at our next board meeting, and to allow the designation of a revitalization area for water.
Okay.
So you have to have your proposal ready to go
favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I say our motion carries.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night. Thanks,
Agenda
Mike.
item 14.
Good evening, members of the board. Before you tonight is a request from the Department of Fire and Rescue to upgrade the audio-visual system at the EOC. As many of you are aware from your time in there, our system is old and antiquated. Some of our input-outputs don't work. Some of our TVs don't work. And we're seeking to upgrade that system to a 4K digital system using only grant funds, both Dominion Power as well as the LEMPG grant, which are both for EOC upgrades. That system is used by a variety of people inside now. Good enough.
It's your turn to say. It's your turn to say.
Yes, great presentation.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion that we upgrade the audiovisual components of the EOC.
Second.
I have a motion, a second, and including discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
If you get grant funding to the budget.
Mr. Shebel?
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The last agenda item tonight is for an approval of a task contract with WW Associates to perform architectural services on the new proposed fire station in Carmel Church. In this year's budget, we had allocated $200,000 of what had approved. We've already spent $89,000, or allocated $89,500 for engineering services to survey the property, utilities, entrances for VDOT, stormwater calculations. And this is actually for the architectural services to actually perform the building, to be able to give us specifications and plans to be able to actually move forward with bidding the facility out once the funds are approved. I am asking tonight that you approve the task contract with WW Associates and an additional appropriation of $34,500 will be needed from the undesignated general fund balance to pay for the remaining architectural services.
Mr. Shebel, you know, we went through a little episode with the visitor center with treasures we found buried. Have we got any sort of, we're gonna do any soil borings to make sure we're not gonna find any buried treasure when we get into this?
Yes, we were hoping to have the property information in front of you tonight to be able to move forward with that. That will be at your next meeting, so we're not gonna move forward with this until that's done, so hopefully that'll happen at the next meeting.
So we're just gonna table this for tonight?
Closed meeting, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we got a closed meeting, we'll take care of this then.
Motion to approve.
No, not till after, no,
Pending or closing.
We already have a tax contract approved for part of it that was pending in the land. We haven't done anything with that yet, because we own the land. We're stacking,
We're just adding $30-some thousand that we want to add on. So the motion would be to approve pending the outcome of our land purchase, which we'll discuss later on in the meeting. That's what's supposed to be.
Right. All right.
So, do we have a second? Thank you.
I checked out for a second.
Oh, we got a motion and a second for to approve the task order for Carmel Church Fire Station pending the land purchase.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
All right, agenda item 15B, and I was gonna make this easy. If we'll approve a resolution to go to 8 feet, and I'm not sure how to actually do this. But it's hunting and fishing, and it should go to the Army and Congressman Whitman.
Who was we get?
No.
Did we get some witness or we get some?
We got it from both places. That's why I think the resolution needs to be one to AP Hill and one to Rob Whitman about AP Hill's lack of access. And we'll have Mr. Cartwright and now Leslie come sign it when it's done to approve a resolution to actually inquire and get resolution to why access has been restricted. Actually, I got an email I haven't had time to read because I was coming here this evening. I believe that it actually lays out the code. It lays out the code that actually is being violated. It's 670A Cooperative Plan for Conservation and Rehabilitation, aka Sites Act. Secretary of Defense shall carry out a program to provide for conservation and rehabilitation of natural resources on military installations. But I will forward that. This will be the crux of what we actually use as part of the resolution.
Has anyone reached out to Lieutenant Colonel Lee?
Yes, multiple people have.
Any dialogue?
There's something on, it's a force protection issue. We have to go to the Lieutenant General to actually get in a resolution. We've got to go all the way up to Washington, D.C. to get it. All those other channels have been tried and have not been successful.
Obviously, the bill had to dodge 60 feet across the river.
Correct. So if we could just approve a resolution to both places and we can get out and provide it. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Nancy. Jeff, Black, and Nancy. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? I say that motion carries. Correct. Before we go to closing meeting. Closing board comments, Mr. Moorhead.
Just wanted to thank everyone for their understanding and the comments from tonight regarding the unfortunate Facebook posts that I made. It's definitely been a learning opportunity. And just thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Mr. Moorhead. Mr. Black.
Just want to reiterate what Mr. Thomas said earlier, Carter. So our condolences to you and your family as you go through this.
Mrs. Long.
I only have one, and that is somewhat in reply to a comment that was made at the public comment period about my non-comment. I am not a big techie person, and I am not a big Facebook person. Although I had heard what was going on, I tried to get online, follow the conversation trail, and got lost somewhere out there. I don't comment on things I haven't read. I just received a copy of the back and forth from Ms. Hall tonight. So my lack of comment is not due to lack of caring. It was, I will not speak on something that I have not educated myself on to the best of my ability. And therefore, that is my silence. Hopefully, everybody in this county knows me well enough that I don't look at color, I look at souls. That's my ability, and I think that's what we all should strive to do. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Long. Mr. Arnold?
Mr. Chairman, I failed to mention, the second Tuesday of May, I will not be able to attend the meeting. I was hoping that we could take a look at that at the next meeting and possibly move that meeting from Monday to Tuesday.
Okay, we can do that at the next meeting.
Okay.
Everybody look at their calendars.
It will be May the 10th, so maybe about just the Monday after Monday.
Maybe it's 10th is a Sunday.
Well, maybe, so our meeting is May the 12th. And I'm hoping to move to May the 11th.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Arnold?
Actually, I would prefer that to happen as well, because I have a child's musical that night that I would love to make. 11th, that Monday, instead of that Tuesday. fine for me.
Okay, if everybody will look at their calendar, I don't think there's gonna be a problem moving that, I really don't. Is that?
Even though you're not getting more positive reasons, so.
Yeah, it's a Monday after Mother's Day. Monday. That's what I'm making a practice.
Yeah, we got, it seems like it works.
Put that before the board.
Okay.
Thank you.
That'd be fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
John?
Well, we've had a lot of discussion about Facebook comments and things like that, and maybe it's time. I know there was a while back, I saw one of the people that was involved, and I think Mr. Howard might have been involved, but we used to have a community group, ministers, Major Moser was involved, I do recall. We had ministers and sheriff's department people, and we all got together and talked about our differences, and maybe we need to have one event like that sponsored by the county, just to make sure people understand, because we are all different. And some of the things we say may affect people in different ways, and, that's all I'm trying to say. Nancy, it is okay to see color. You stop at a red light. It's how you react to color that makes a difference. And I think that's what we all understand, about you in particular. So just to have a chance to talk to each other, and I think maybe we need to do an event like that from the county perspective, and I'll look at that further if that's all right. That was all, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. I don't think I have anything else for this evening, so I will take a motion. For closed meeting.
I move that this board now go into closed meeting to discuss matters exempt from open meeting requirements of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. The purpose of this closed meeting is as follows: discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for the Common Church Fire Station, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body, which is exempted pursuant to section 2.23711A3 of the Code of Virginia. Is there a second?
I have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and second, any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We're now in closed meeting.
closed meeting.
I would, move that we return to our regular meeting and in closed meeting that we've been in.
Wait,
No.
no, okay, go to the second page, that table one.
Yeah.
Let's go. Recertification.
I move that the board certify to the best of each board's members that only public business, lawfully exempt from open meeting was discussed, and only public business matters as were identified in the motion were discussed or considered by the board.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion to second, Mr. Forehand, do you certify?
I so certify.
Mr. White?
I so certify.
Mrs. Long?
I so certify.
Mr. Overwood?
I so certify.
Mr. Collins? And I so certify.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board authorize the chairman or the vice chairman of the board to execute and deliver on behalf of the board the real estate purchase agreement for the purchase of the property for the Carmel Church Fire Station reviewed in closed session with the amendments proposed by the county attorney in closed session and such ancillary agreements, deeds, or other documents as may be necessary effect the purchase of the subject property by the county.
Can I have a motion, do I have a second? I have a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. So moved, all in favor? We are done for the evening.